Chapter 1563. It was no secret that Huyen Lu was addicted to beauty. Although Huyen Ba hated Huyen Lu's bad habit, he was still his son, so Huyen Ba could only nod. Once the shaman race is dominated by my Huyen clan, you can do whatever you want with the shaman girls. Huyen Ba never cared about these things. All he wanted was to dominate. Back then, when the Murong family was suddenly destroyed by the sorcerer tribe, Huyen Ba was actually quite worried that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe had returned. However, how could the sorcerer race allow the Huyen clan to sit on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family of the Yulong continent for so long if the sorcerer god of the sorcerer race were to return? Back then, the sorcerer god was extremely powerful. The god of sorcerer had decided that it was impossible for him to tolerate the Huyen clan sitting on the throne of the #1 aristocratic family. The sorcerer god had yet to return. The only possibility was that the sorcerer tribe had already obtained the sandalwood box. It was a sandalwood box that could destroy all the continents in the universe in an instant. However, Huyen Ba felt his eyelids twitching. He had a bad premonition. As for what this bad premonition was, he didn't know. The next morning, the sky of the Yulong continent was still in the early stages of dawn. However, the sorcerer race's palace had already been destroyed by the powerhouses sent by the Huyen clan. At that moment, the people of the sorcerer tribe were retreating to a mountain behind the sorcerer tribe palace. Patriarch, we can't resist the Huyen clan's attack any longer. What should we do? Where is the sorcerer god? Would the sorcerer god come to his rescue? Will our witch race really be exterminated by the Huyen clan? At the back of the mountain, everyone looked at Wu Lan, the tribe leader of the sorcerer tribe, and asked a terrifying question. There were many aristocratic families in the Yulong continent. Big aristocratic families like the Huyen clan and the sorcerer race weren't the only ones who were at war. The other small aristocratic families of the Yulong continent were also at war with each other. On the losing side, all the men in the clan would be killed, and the girls and women would become the slaves of the winning side. To put it bluntly, they were prostitutes. This was the eternal principle of the Yulong continent. Most of the members of the sorcerer tribe were women, and all of them were as beautiful as fairies. Outsiders had long been itching for them. As the leader of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Lan frowned. Lan Su was standing beside him, and Adam was also standing beside Lan Su. As long as I'm here, nothing will happen to you. Adam frowned and said. He had spent some time with Lan Su in the Yulong mainland. Compared to before, he had become much more mature. But as long as Lan Su refused to be with him, Adam would still use his stubborn temper to force Lan Su to be with him. Adam wasn't without confidence when he said this. He was one of the 4 great guardians of the Lord Divine Lord. It was a pity that he had lost all of his spirit power. If he were to forcefully use his spirit power, he could still raise the Yulong mainland to the ground. However, he had lost his previous spiritual power. If he were to forcefully use his spiritual power now, he would never be able to recover it. Therefore, he wouldn't use his spiritual power until the very end. Lan Su's eyes twinkled. Suddenly, the voice of the Huyen clan's patriarch, Huyen Ba, was heard from the opposite side of the mountain. People of the shaman tribe, listen up. If you hand over the sandalwood box obediently, I won't make things difficult for you. But if you don't hand over the sandalwood box, then my Huyen clan won't be soft-hearted. It didn't matter whether the sorcerer tribe obediently handed over the sandalwood box or not. They couldn't escape the fate of becoming prostitutes of the sorcerer tribe. This was the so-called winner takes all. Huyen Ba was still shouting from the opposite side. Huyen Sua was rubbing his hands. He couldn't wait to experience the feeling of riding those delicate and tender girls of the sorcerer tribe under his body. Huyen Ba was standing on the opposite side of the mountain. He was looking at the sorcerer tribe. Then, a beautiful female voice was heard from behind him. It sounded like the sound of nature. It made Huyen Ba and all the people of the Huyen clan tremble. How dare you attack my sorcerer tribe while I'm not here? Huyen clan, how dare you? Chapter 1564. When Huyen Ba heard the voice that he had only heard 1,000 years ago, he was so scared that he quickly turned around. However, he saw an unfamiliar girl in short sleeves and long pants standing in front of him. Huyen Ba's brows were tightly knitted together. Thousands of years ago, when the sorcerer god was famous in the Yulong continent, Huyen Ba was still a rascal who was wandering in the Yulong continent. Therefore, Huyen Ba had never seen the sorcerer god at that time. Naturally, Yun Jian's appearance was also unfamiliar to Huyen Ba. Oh, what a beautiful little beauty! Huyen Lu, who was standing next to Huyen Ba, did not know the meaning of Yun Jian's words at all. The moment he saw Yun Jian, his eyes widened. The clothing of the Yulong continent was almost the same as the ancient costumes of Z country. Therefore, in the eyes of Huyen Lu and the others, Yun Jian's short sleeves were extremely revealing. Therefore, just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, Huyen Lu felt a certain part of his lower body erect. Huyen Lu felt that just by looking at Yun Jian's tender arms, he could not help himself. If this little beauty was lying under him, TSK, how ecstatic would that be? However, before Huyen Lu could have any thoughts about Yun Jian, Ce, who was standing next to Yun Jian, stretched out his right hand. He raised his slender right palm and grabbed Huyen Lu's face from a distance of more than 10 meters. Pa pa pa. In the next second, a series of explosive sounds were heard. At the back of the mountain, the people of the sorcerer tribe, Wu Lan, Lan Su, Adam, and the people of the Huyen family, including Huyen Ba, were all present. They clearly saw Huyen Lu's eyeballs, who was standing in front of them and staring at Yun Jian. After Ce stretched out his hand and grabbed him, his eyeballs instantly burst. In the next second, there were only 2 small holes where Huyen Lu's eyes used to be. His eyeballs disappeared without a trace. Ah! My eyes! Eyes! Oh! In the next breath, Huyen Lu's painful roar was heard. Huyen Lu fell to the ground and rolled on the ground in pain. This unforeseen event only took 1 second. Ce's attack was so quick that no one there could react in time. Huyen Ba watched his son's eyeballs being crushed by Ce in the air. By the time Huyen Ba reacted, his son, Huyen Lu, had already fallen to the ground and rolled. Initially, Huyen Ba was still considering that Yun Jian's familiar voice sounded very similar to the sorcerer god in the past. Now, however, he could not hold himself back anymore. Pfft, those were all people who had already died. Kill him, clan elder. The people of Huyen clan couldn't help but shout. Huyen Ba was the strongest person in Yulong mainland. His spiritual power was second to none. Therefore, the people of Huyen clan were very confident. Even Huyen Ba was confident that no one in Yulong mainland could rival him as long as the sorcerer god didn't appear. Just as Huyen Ba was 3 meters away from Ce, he had gathered his most powerful spiritual energy and was about to hurl it at Ce to kill him, but Ce was suddenly struck by lightning. The spiritual power that Huyen Ba had gathered in his hand disappeared in the next second under the watchful eyes of the people of Huyen clan. It disappeared? Only the sorcerer god can make an immortal cultivator's spiritual power disappear within 3 meters of him. In the next breath, everyone's eyes widened as they turned to look at Yun Jian in shock. Chapter 1565. Huyen Ba's eyeballs were about to fall out of their sockets. Back then, Huyen Ba was confident that the sorcerer god could not return. Now, he was terrified that Yun Jian was the sorcerer god. No, this is impossible. The sorcerer god cannot return. How is this possible? How is it possible for the sorcerer god to return? How is it possible for him to return? At this moment, Huyen Ba was shaking his head frantically. He was shaking his head in horror as he spoke these words. The sorcerer god could not return? Where did it go wrong? Didn't the sorcerer god fall completely? How could the sorcerer god still exist in this world? Are you surprised? When the Huyen clan tried to destroy the sorcerer tribe, it was the time for the Huyen clan to reach a dead end. Today, I will destroy the Huyen clan with my own hands and restore the sorcerer tribe's throne as the #1 family in the Yulong continent. After Yun Jian finished speaking, she took out the god-vanquishing blade that Ce had made for her and held it in her palm. Then, she pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Huyen Ba. When the god-vanquishing blade was held in Yun Jian's hand, the sharp blade emitted a sharp luster. In the next second, the brilliance of the god-vanquishing blade illuminated the whole place. The god-vanquishing blade was a legendary blade. The person who owned it could not only kill an immortal cultivator with a single slash, but more importantly, the person who owned it could even kill the most powerful deities of the gods' continent. It could be said that the person who owned this blade was the master of all the continents. This blade had been in the hands of the Lord Divine Lord since it was born. Ce had given such a treasure to Yun Jian. It was as if he had handed over his position as the master of the continent to her. The only deity in the world who could control this god-vanquishing blade was the Lord Divine Lord. After Yun Jian finished speaking, the god-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand emitted a dazzling light. After the light faded, Hu Yanba suddenly regained his senses. If his eyeballs were about to fall out a moment ago, then his eyeballs were about to explode at this moment. He stared at the god-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand, but in the next second he exclaimed, "The god-vanquishing blade! It was the god-slaying blade. Wasn't the god-vanquishing blade Lord Divine Lord's divine weapon? It's in your hands. Could it be?" Hu Yanba suddenly reacted. Just now, Ce had reached out with her hand at a speed that he couldn't even see with his naked eyes. She had grabbed his son's eyeball and burst it. Just now, Hu Yanba was overwhelmed by his anger and didn't have time to think about it. The god-vanquishing blade belonged to the Lord Divine Lord. If that was the case, Sir Divine Lord, you're not the Lord Divine Lord. Hu Yanba stared at Ce and immediately sat down on the ground. Lord Divine Lord. It was said that the Lord God was the ruler of the gods' continent. Hu Yanba was truly frightened. If the return of the sorcerer god was enough to frighten Hu Yanba, then the Divine Lord was an existence that Hu Yanba couldn't even imagine. For example, in Hu Yanba's eyes, the Divine Lord's identity was like a god in the eyes of earthlings. He was a figure that existed in fantasy. Hence, when he saw the god-vanquishing blade in Ce's strength, Hu Yanba was shocked. However, Yun Jian didn't give Hu Yanba a rebuttal or a correct answer. She pointed the god-vanquishing blade at Hu Yanba. She didn't want to give Hu Yanba a chance and wanted to end him directly. "When you go to hell, you'll know the answer." Yun Jian's lips curled up coldly. She waved the god-vanquishing blade. Just as she was about to end Hu Yanba's life with one slash. Suddenly, Hu Yanba's eyes turned. He knelt in front of Yun Jian and Ce and shouted. Chapter 1566. Yun Jian had originally planned to use the god-vanquishing blade to kill Hu Yanba and make him disappear from this world completely. However, she did not expect Hu Yanba to say such words. Did he know that she and Ce had been looking for traces of the mysterious person? Did he know how to recover the memories of her and Ce when they were the sorcerer god and Sir God? I really know. If I'm lying, it won't be too late for you to kill me then. Hu Yanba raised 3 fingers and said firmly to Yun Jian and Ce. Whether a person was lying or not could be seen from their facial expressions. Hu Yanba's expression told Yun Jian that he was not lying about this. "Speak," Ce shouted as he glanced coldly at Hu Yanba. Although Ce still had the ability he had when he was a Lord Divinity and had some memories of his time as a Lord Divinity, his memories were only fragments. Regardless of whether Hu Yanba was telling the truth or not, what if he was telling the truth? At the very least, if what Hu Yanba said was true, it would be of great help to Yun Jian and Ce. Hu Yanba looked around carefully and said to Yun Jian and Ce, "There are too many people here. Let's talk in the cave over there. Xueqi, Emosin, you two go to Adam first." When Ce heard this, he did not turn around. Instead, he turned his handsome face sideways and said softly to Xueqi and Emo Sr., "Yes, young master." Xueqi and Emo Sen responded. Then, the two of them swaggered toward where Adam and the other sorcerer tribe members were. Rather than swaggering, it was better to say that Xueqi put his arm around Emo Sen's shoulder and walked over. "You little rascal. How was your time in the Yulong mainland? Was it fun?" As soon as they arrived, Xueqi put his arm around Adam's shoulder. He first knocked Adam's head with his hand, then said to Adam with a grin. The scar on Xueqing's neck was horrifying. If this scar was removed, he would undoubtedly be the most handsome among the 4 leaders of an Hun. Of course, even with this terrifying scar, Xueqing's handsome appearance still attracted the attention of a large group of witch tribe girls around him. At this moment, Yun Jian and Ce had already followed Hu Yanba into an empty cave. "I'll tell you everything I know as long as you let go of my Hu Yan clan." Hu Yanba wasn't a fool. He stated his conditions as soon as he entered the cave. "Do you think you still have the right to negotiate with us?" Yun Jian held the god-slaying blade in her hand. She swung the butterfly blade-like god-slaying blade with ease. That way, it would be as if she could accidentally stab the god-slaying blade into Hu Yanba's heart and turn him into ashes. Hu Yanba swallowed his saliva. For the first time, he was speechless in front of a teenage girl. Moreover, this teenage girl was the sorcerer god who had once dominated the Yulong mainland. I'll tell you. But, you have to let go of my Huyen clan after I tell you. Huyen Ba was afraid that Yun Jian and Ce would wait impatiently. So, he paused for a moment after he said this. Then he continued to speak. That was half a year ago. At that time, I went to the central mainland as the patriarch of the #1 family of the Yulong mainland. Then, I accidentally heard a conversation between two mysterious people. Those two mysterious people were wearing black robes. I listened carefully because they mentioned the Lord Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God. Chapter 1567. Lord Divine Monarch, that's a supreme existence. When I was listening to the two mysterious men, I didn't believe them at all. Because what kind of existence is the Lord Divine Lord? How could he use up all his spiritual power and even go against the way of heaven to save the Sorcerer God of Yulong continent for the Sorcerer God? That's impossible. But then I thought about it. 1,000 years ago, when the Lord God of Yulong continent came to Yulong continent, he asked if the Sorcerer God was there. Then, the Lord God said that the Sorcerer God wouldn't come. The Lord God asked his protector to kill the Lord God. So I listened carefully at that time. Huyen Ba wanted to continue his nonsense, but Yun Jian didn't let him have his way. Yun Jian took a big step forward and swung the butterfly knife made from God-vanquishing blade lightly, placing it on Huyen Ba's neck and yelling at him, "What are you doing? Get to the point. I'll kill you if you keep talking nonsense." Huyen Ba's eyes turned. He was so scared that his whole body trembled. He quickly begged for mercy. Don't. I'm just laying the foundation. The main point is at the end. Speak." The God-vanquishing blade in Yun Jian's hand pressed coldly against Huyen Ba's neck, inching closer. This time, Huyen Ba didn't dare to talk nonsense. He quickly continued. The two mysterious men said that the Lord God and the Sorcerer God were still alive. They said that they were in a place called Earth. They even sent people to assassinate them. When I heard about this, I also sent people to look for a place called Earth. But they couldn't find that place, so I gave up. I didn't believe that the Sorcerer God was still alive. Until just now. Don't, I'll say it. I'll get to the point. Don't. Huyen Ba started to talk nonsense again. He seemed to be stalling for time. However, just as Huyen Ba was about to talk nonsense, Yun Jian moved the God-vanquishing blade closer to his neck. Huyen Ba no longer dared to talk nonsense. He quickly got down to business. I met those two mysterious people in the central continent. If you want to find them, you'll have to go to the central continent. However, I can't guarantee that they're from the central continent. Also, the two mysterious people mentioned something else. That is, if the Divine Lord and the Sorcerer God return and want to recover their strength and memories, they have to get the sandalwood box. They have to inject powerful spiritual energy into the sandalwood box in order to open it. Legend has it that this sandalwood box is a divine artifact. With it, one can become the ruler of all the continents. Even on the God's continent, no one is a match for it. After Huyen Ba finished talking about the main point, he began to sigh with emotion. As soon as he finished speaking, Yun Jian interrupted him. Have you finished what you wanted to say? Finished. You. Just as Huyen Ba came back to his senses, he felt a white light flash in front of him. Yun Jian's god-slaying blade had already slit his throat. You're trustworthy. At the moment when he fell, Huyen Ba shouted with all his might. Huyen Ba closed his eyes. The last thing he heard in his life was Yun Jian's cold voice. I never promised to let the Huyen family go. The Huyen family has had enough of the throne of Yulong mainland. It's time to return it to its rightful owner. Huyen Ba was dead. The Huyen family was destroyed. After thousands of years, the sorcerer tribe had regained the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. 1,000 years ago, before the sorcerer god fell, he promised that he would return after 1,000 years. Some people said that the sorcerer tribe would prosper with the sorcerer god around. Now the sorcerer god had returned as promised and led the sorcerer tribe to regain the throne of Yulong mainland's #1 family. Chapter 1568. Witch Tribe Palace. The destruction of the Huyen family represented the rise of the Witch Tribe. At this moment, the Witch Tribe Palace was holding an exciting banquet. Yun Jian, Ce, Adam, Xueqi, Mo Sen, Lan Su, and Wu Lan did not attend the witch tribe's banquet. At this moment, they were sitting in a corner of the backyard of the witch tribe palace. A sandalwood box was placed on the table in front of them. The sandalwood box was not like other antiques. From its appearance, it was bright and beautiful from beginning to end. It did not even give people a sense of age. This was also why Yun Jian could replace the sandalwood box with a high-end imitation. In his previous life, Lang Sha kidnapped Xiao Yunju and forced Yun Jian to hand over the sandalwood box. Yun Jian handed over a high-end imitation, but Lang Sha did not discover that it was an imitation. At this moment, Siyi's hand was on the sandalwood box. Is what Huyen Ba said really feasible? Are we really going to open the sandalwood box now? As the witch tribe leader, Wu Lan was still very worried about Yun Jian and Siyi's actions of opening the sandalwood box. It was strange that the sandalwood box had never been opened since it appeared. To open the sandalwood box, one would need powerful spiritual power. Now, the only person who could do this was Siyi. Open. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said. Hearing this, Siyi injected her powerful spiritual power into the sandalwood box. The sandalwood box on the table shook violently. Then, under everyone's eyes, it opened. Suddenly, a strong ray of light refracted. The moment the light shone, it seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and the earth. In the next second, Siyi and Yun Jian fainted under the strong light. Even Mo Sen, Xueqi, and Adam next to them were the same. The memories from 1,000 years ago came flooding back like a tidal wave. You guys! After the light faded, Lan Su saw that Yun Jian and the others had fainted. Stop shouting, I think they are trying to retrieve their memories. Wu Lan pressed down on Lan Su's hand that was about to shake Adam. She stopped Lan Su. Time, like a twisted tunnel, opened the dusty memories. 1,000 years ago, in the residence of the sorcerer god in the sorcerer tribe, Lan Su helped the sorcerer god put on a black coat and stood beside a bronze mirror as he asked the sorcerer god, Lord Sorcerer God, the ceremony is about to begin. Aren't you going? No. The sorcerer god stood up and walked out. Halfway through, the sorcerer goddess stopped in her tracks. She turned sideways, her slender figure wrapped in a black robe. She moved her red lips slightly and said to Lan Su, I'm going out for a walk. You don't have to come with me. Yes. Lan Su nodded. Only then did the sorcerer god leave. There was a quiet forest in Yulong mainland. There was a cave in the forest. There was a bed and daily necessities in the cave. The sorcerer god didn't like those complicated things. When she was bored, she only liked to walk around in this quiet cave. She was the respected sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe. Everyone envied her, but no one knew that she was tired of this identity. Her life belonged to the sorcerer tribe. Protecting the sorcerer tribe was her mission. She didn't even have the chance to choose her own love and survive. The sorcerer god had just walked into the cave when she turned around when a familiar man's aura hit her. A slender hand grabbed her slender wrist. Lord Divine Lord. Seeing the man in front of her, the sorcerer god was stunned and was about to bow. Why didn't you come to the ceremony? You don't want to see me? He grabbed her hand and questioned her. Just now, when the king of Yulong mainland said that she wouldn't appear at the ceremony, he couldn't help but let his protector kill the king. We don't belong to the same world. Don't come looking for me again. The sorcerer god lowered her head slightly. She was about to continue speaking when he grabbed her wrist and pulled her onto the bed. Chapter 1569. As he spoke, he buried his head in her neck and nibbled on her snow-white neck. His heavy breathing hit her side. The sorcerer goddess put her hands between him and her body, but allowed him to nibble on her snow-white skin. Until the snow-white skin on her neck turned red from his nibbling, she only put her hands between their chests and did not move. He grabbed her head, but was so gentle that he could not bear to hurt her. He buried his head and kissed her red lips fiercely. This time, she reached out to push him away, but her hands were caught in one of his large palms. She could not break free. Actually, she had feelings for him too. If she did not have any feelings for him, she would not have allowed him to nibble on her neck and leave marks on her beautiful and pure skin. It was only when he released her lips and stopped moving while panting heavily that she called out softly, Lord Divine Lord. Although she was the sorcerer goddess and was called the sorcerer goddess by the world, she was so powerful that she was invincible. However, no one knew that she could kill a god with her bare hands. In the whole world, there was only one person who was more powerful than her. That person was her nemesis. That person was the Sir Divine Lord. Don't call me Sir Divine Lord. If you call me that again, I'll take you. His eyes were red. He reached out and grabbed one of her slender wrists above her head. She looked straight at him. There was no fear in her eyes. She did not call him Sir Divine Lord anymore, because she knew that if she called him that, he would really do what he said and take her right here. As the sorcerer goddess of the sorcerer tribe, as a girl of the sorcerer tribe, she could not lose her virginity to a man before marriage. Otherwise, she could either kill the man, marry him, or commit suicide. Naturally, she could not break this rule first. Tell me, why didn't you come to the ceremony? Seeing that the girl was distracted under him, he pressed her head to make her look into his eyes and asked. He did not see her at the ceremony just now, so he was impulsive. The king of the Yulong mainland said that the sorcerer goddess would definitely not come to the ceremony. He did not show his emotions on his face, but asked his protector to kill the king of the Yulong mainland. Now, outsiders might think that the divine monarch had gone mad. We shouldn't meet again. You're the divine lord of the gods' continent, and I'm the witch god of the wizard tribe. We shouldn't, she said. She shouldn't have gone to God's continent 3 years ago, and she shouldn't have gotten to know him. They shouldn't have been together in the first place. Perhaps it was a mistake from the first time they met. Shouldn't? To me, you are the best gift given to me by the heavens. I won't allow you to say those 3 words again, he said forcefully before kissing her hard on the lips. The sorcerer god existed because of the sorcerer tribe. It could be said that she existed for the sorcerer tribe. The word, love, was not allowed in her life. Otherwise it would be going against the heavens. Going against the heavens meant that she would fall and her soul would scatter. She really wanted to tell him that she was willing, but he bit all over her neck and tore off the black shirt on her shoulder. Just as he was about to rip her clothes off, she blocked his hand. Lord Divine Lord, don't. She was not weak. She reached out to stop him from violating her, but he broke through in the next second. The sorcerer goddess's strength was unmatched in the entire Yulong mainland. Even in the gods' continent, she had a shocking record of killing gods. However, in front of the Lord Divine Lord, her strength was not as good as his. When he heard her call him Lord Divine Lord in such a distant manner, he grabbed her delicate wrist and pulled it out. Where are you taking me? Her eyes moved slightly as she asked. Chapter 1570. As he spoke, he pulled her out of the cave from the bed. His action seemed rough, but in reality, he was holding her hand and gently and carefully pulled her out of the cave. I'm not going to the gods' continent. When they reached the entrance of the cave, the witch goddess retracted her hand. She tried to pull her wrist back, but he held it firmly. You don't have a choice. He could satisfy her with anything else, but this was the only thing he wouldn't agree to. You can't be so bossy. I'm the witch god of the witch tribe, not one of your people. She refused to follow him out of the cave, but she stood in place. When she said, I'm not one of your people, he tightened his grip on her hand. I'm the ruler of the gods' continent. Can't I take you away? As he spoke, he tightened his grip on her hand. His eyes were fixed on her as he said this very seriously. As he said this, his gaze landed on her body, only to see that her shoulders were bare. Because when he pushed her onto the bed, he reached out and tore off the clothes on her shoulders, revealing half of her fair shoulders. At this moment, her shoulders were half exposed. Her fair shoulders swayed in front of him. He swallowed hard and took a big step forward. What are you doing? When she saw him standing in front of her, she took a step back out of reflex, but she fell back against the stone wall of the cave. He didn't say anything and moved closer to her. She instinctively shrank back. Because of the way he treated her just now, she was in a daze for a moment. Just as she was about to push him away, he grabbed her wrist. Then, his hand was attached to the plain clothes on her shoulders. Just when she thought he was going to do something unreasonable to her, she felt his hand on her shoulder grab her black shirt and pull it up a little. He didn't let go of her until he tidied up her clothes. So he just wanted to tidy up her clothes. She was stunned. She raised her head slightly and saw his handsome and flawless face. She could only reach his chin. When she raised her head, she could see his well-defined chin and the long eyelashes beside his eyes. Seeing that he was only tidying up her clothes, she actually felt a little disappointed. She was shocked by her own thoughts, so she quickly suppressed them in her mind. "You!" Before she could finish her sentence, a man with delicate features walked over from the side of the cave. The man stood in front of the Divine Lord and called out, "Sir Divine Lord." Then the man glanced sideways at the sorcerer god and said to the Divine Lord, "Sir Divine Lord, a black-robed man has invaded the gods' continent. The gods can no longer hold him back. Please return and help." This man was none other than Xueqi. The snow eagle from 1,000 years ago had thrown away his handsome and candid aura, and there wasn't even a scar on his neck. Handsome and dashing. Apart from the Divine Lords, Xueqi's looks were enough to instantly overtake all the other men on the continent. He was truly a handsome man. The Lord God turned his head and glanced at Xueqi. He grabbed her hand and tightened his grip slightly. Then, he turned to look at her and said solemnly, "Wait for me at the sorcerer tribe." At this moment, the lock on her memory disintegrated. It was as if something was forcefully preventing her from recalling her memories. Yunjian, Ce, Xueqi, Adam, and Mo Sen, who were lying on the table, suddenly raised their heads at the same time. Then, what happened? The moment Yunjian raised her head, a drop of cold sweat rolled down from the corner of her eye. She said listlessly. Chapter 1571. Wu Lan's words brought Yunjian back to reality from her memories. "I didn't find it. After the black light flashed just now, I ran in the direction it came from, but I couldn't find any trace of it even after a long time. I think it's probably the mysterious person who did it." Lan Su ran over from afar, panting. She frowned after she said that. Yunjian sat on the bench with her hand on the table, supporting her head with one hand, looking like she was deep in thought. While Yunjian was deep in thought, a large hand grabbed her. "Xiao Jian, I won't let you go again." It was Ce. Ce grabbed Yunjian, preventing her from looking elsewhere. "I'm not the witch goddess. I won't leave. Even if the witch tribe is destroyed, I'll always be with you." Yunjian held Ce in return. It was her first time saying such touching words in front of so many people. Yunjian, Ce, and Xueqi did not receive any relevant memories of what happened after the memory was cut off. Therefore, no one knew what happened next. "Yunjian, have you recovered your spiritual power?" Lan Su went to Yunjian and asked in anticipation. "Let me try." Receiving a part of the witch goddess's memory felt like a part of another person's memory was forcefully inserted into her own life. In spite of it, she had received a part of the witch goddess's memory. Yunjian raised her hand slightly to see if she could gather spiritual power. Swoosh! The moment Yunjian raised her hand, a gust of wind whipped up around them. A huge tornado hovered on the spot, its force so strong that it seemed like it could tear the entire Yulong mainland apart. "So this is spiritual power." Yunjian's eyes glinted as she looked up to scan her surroundings. The wind and clouds were raging around them, the force of the gust almost collapsing the witch tribe's palace. Yunjian's eyelashes fluttered. She was a little shocked. Because at this moment, no one knew better than her that the spiritual power she was using now was as weak as a speck of dust under her fingernails. What if she used all of her spiritual energy? Yunjian was pleasantly surprised for a moment. Spiritual energy, it was indeed a good thing. Fully recovered? Yunjian, have you fully recovered your spiritual power? Lan Su was already used to calling Yunjian by her real name. At this moment, seeing Yunjian's spiritual power recover, Lan Su was so excited that she almost jumped up. Sorcerer God! Patriarch! What was going on? Why did the sky suddenly darken and there's even a gust of wind? In a place far away, a young shaman girl braved the fierce wind and walked towards a side courtyard with great difficulty. The strong wind blew all of a sudden. The people of the sorcerer tribe were celebrating the return of the sorcerer god and the return of the sorcerer tribe as the #1 family in the Yulong mainland. However, this gust of wind had suddenly blown up and scared the people of the sorcerer tribe. Could it be that the Huyen family hadn't been destroyed? Therefore, the people of the sorcerer tribe in the palace deliberately sent the young shaman girl to the backyard to ask for help from the sorcerer god and the patriarch. "It's me!" Yunjian's red eye curved slightly. She raised half of her face into a smile. Then she put down her hand. The huge wave that had just condensed in her hand disintegrated and disappeared in a flash. It didn't leave any trace behind. The young shaman girl was stupefied when she saw this scene. The young shaman girl was stunned for 2 seconds. Then, she suddenly exclaimed loudly. She turned around and rushed towards the main hall. She ran while shouting, "The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power. The sorcerer god has recovered his spiritual power." Her ecstatic voice almost reverberated through the sky. It wasn't difficult to feel how pleasantly surprised the young shaman girl was when she heard this news. The sorcerer god was powerful, and this meant that the sorcerer tribe would be able to maintain peace for a long time. The sorcerer god was the religion of the sorcerer tribe. In the past, the sorcerer god had killed the gods of the gods continent. Some people had once asserted that the sorcerer god of the sorcerer tribe was more powerful than the sorcerer god in the whole world. Besides the Lord God of the gods continent, no one could be a match for him. The sorcerer god was a person who existed in the world. People couldn't help but respect and adore him. The Yulong continent seemed to be peaceful. But, it was full of ups and downs of crisis. The person who had interrupted her, CE, and the others from receiving the memory transmitted from the sandalwood box must be that mysterious person. She hadn't seen the mysterious person's true face from her previous life until she had returned to the Yulong continent. But, the mysterious person had always existed. Yun Jian couldn't express her anger in words. But she had to go back to Earth first. As for the central continent that she had heard from the mouth of the Huyen family's patriarch, Huyen Ba had said that he had heard the conversation between 2 mysterious people in the central continent. So, Yun Jian had to go to the central continent. But now wasn't the time. She had to go back to Earth now. Yun Jian, CE, and the others returned to Earth early the next morning. They went straight to Pu City in He Province. Chapter 1572. Country Z. He Province, Pu City. The morning sky was a little hazy. It was chilly and the wind blew. The sun could not be seen until noon. There were only dark clouds in the sky. They were different from the snow-white clouds that floated by on a sunny day. The dark clouds that floated by in the sky were very dark. The dark clouds dyed the sky pitch black. However, there was no sign of rain on the dark clouds that had been floating in the sky since the morning. The friendly competition started in the morning and lasted until 4 in the afternoon. The friendly competition was a competition of individual results. For example, target shooting, and 5,000-meter cross-country running were all calculated based on individual results. Then, all the scores of the students from each military academy would be added together to form the total score. This total score would be directly calculated into the ranking of all the military academies. The total score would be the ranking of all the military academies. The morning passed quickly. There were still 20 minutes to the end of the competition. Wait a minute. Isn't it unfair to calculate the total score now? Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. Our total score can only be ranked 3rd among all the military academies. Wang Kuan stood in front of the military academy students and said with dissatisfaction, "Your Min City Military Academy only got this result last year. So what if that girl is back?" Although she defeated Lin Kuei, the chief bodyguard of Cheetah Bodyguard Company, we are competing in the individual competition this time. Only when the individual results are added to the total score will the school's total score be calculated and ranked. Wang Kuan. I don't want to criticize you, but there are only 20 minutes left. After 20 minutes, no matter what the reason is, you will be disqualified. Moreover, a 5,000-meter cross-country run takes more than 20 minutes. Even the fastest would take more than 10 minutes, right? So what if the 2 of them are here now? Do you think they can complete all the tests in 20 minutes? TSK. Wang Kuan, stop daydreaming. Your Min City Military Academy can forget about getting 2nd place this year. Hey, why are you looking at me like that? Ha! I see that your Min City Military Academy is short of 2 people. It's already good enough that your total score can barely secure 3rd place in the military academy. You are still not satisfied. Wang Kuan was a student from Min City Military Academy. Just as he was feeling indignant that his school was missing 2 people from the competition, Lin Zigua, a student from the super elite school, who had always been hostile to Min City Military Academy, stood up. After Lin Zigua stood up, he mocked and sneered at Wang Kuan. His smug look was simply unbearable to the people present. There was a time limit for the friendly match. Once it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Even if Yun Jian and Ce made it back in time, they would have been disqualified at that time. Even if he came back now, there were only 20 minutes left before the start of the match. In 20 minutes, they had to finish the 5 events of the 5,000-meter cross-country run, shooting, target practice, and long jump. Was this a dream? Unless Yun Jian and Ce could fly, there was no way they could complete these 4 projects. Lin Zigua Yu. Wang Kuan was so infuriated by Lin Zigua that he almost vomited blood. On this large field, all the military academy students had already received their individual achievements. They were just waiting for 4 o'clock to officially end the friendly competition. What about you? Who asked those 2 students from Min City Military Academy to be so useless? Haha, they want to compete with our super elite school? Dream on! Lin Zigua said arrogantly. At this point, Lin Zigua felt that it was not enough, so he added, I think you should just give up on those 2 students from Min City Military Academy. They won't be able to come back. Even if they come back now, it's too late. There's only 20 minutes left. You can still fight. Lin Zigua muttered the last sentence to himself. However, just as Lin Zigua finished muttering to himself, a sharp female voice rang out. The voice was loud and clear, but it was enough to make everyone present turn their heads and look over. Who said we're giving up? Don't talk about whether your super elite military academy can keep second place. Today, I'm going to take first place from Taiji Military Academy. Just as he said that, Yun Jian and Ce came into view from the other end of the hall. Chapter 1573. She actually said that she wanted to take first place in Taiji Military Academy. How arrogant! Everyone present sucked in a deep breath. Yun Jian's ability aside, the friendly competition wasn't about a person's ability. It was about the points of each person's abilities. The total score of a military academy was calculated by adding up the scores of all the students in each individual event. What kind of existence was Taiji Military Academy? Since the first season of the friendly competition, Taiji Military Academy had been firmly in first place. Ever since the friendly competition was held, Taiji Military Academy had never gotten second place. As for Taiji Military Academy's first place ranking, the students of the other military academies no longer doubted it. Yet, Yun Jian actually said that she wanted to take first place? And there were only 19 minutes left before the competition ended. If Yun Jian and Ce could complete 4 events in 19 minutes and get full marks for each event, then Min City would be able to take first place in the competition. It wouldn't be a joke if Min City Military Academy could really take first place this year. Was it possible to get full marks for each event? Was it scientific? Furthermore, there were only 19 minutes left. If there was enough time, Yun Jian and Ce would be able to achieve excellent results for each event. They might even be able to surpass the Chao Shen Military Academy, which was currently in second place. Ahahaha. There are only 19 minutes left. Alright? Weren't the 2 of you pretty cocky 2 days ago? Now that there's not enough time, let's see if you can still do it. Lin Zigua was already dissatisfied with Yun Jian and Ce's abilities. Taking advantage of this opportunity to mock them, he mocked them for the rest of his life. That's right. There are only 19 minutes left before the competition ends. Does she really think that she's a god? Although this girl is pretty, she's too narcissistic. Yeah, she really doesn't know what's good for her. The students from the other military academies also started mocking them. In an instant, everyone's target was Yun Jian and Ce. Since the students from the other schools had already finished their matches, more than 100 people were waiting to see Yun Jian and Ce's performance. Teacher, please help me prepare the timing for all the events. Ignoring everyone, Yun Jian turned to look at the referee who was recording the results and keeping time with the stopwatch and spoke faintly. The moment Yun Jian said this, the teachers and referees were dumbfounded. Were these 2 students really going to challenge them? There were only 18 minutes left. Would they really make it in time? Even so, the teachers and referees still quickly finished the stopwatch and other things for the 4 events. The students around them made way for them as their eyes were glued to Yun Jian and Ce. The most exciting moment had come. The students around them all held their breaths. They watched as Yun Jian and Ce raised the rifles in front of them the moment the referee finished the stopwatch for the first event. They didn't even look at the target. Yun Jian and Ce grabbed their rifles and fired 10 shots in a short span of 10 seconds. The two of them were equally matched in terms of speed. The first event only took 10 seconds to complete. Then, Yun Jian and Ce quickly ran to the second event. Haha, they finished shooting in 10 seconds? How can that be accurate? Lin Zigua said disdainfully in front of the crowd. As he spoke, he sneered as he looked at the target. However, what caught his eye was the 2 targets on the target. Out of the 10 rings, all 10 shots hit the target. This was a perfect performance. Lin Zigua and the surrounding students who were mocking Yun Jian and Ce widened their eyes. When they turned to look at Yun Jian and Ce, they saw that Ce and Yun Jian had already completed the second event, the third event, the long jump, and started the fourth event, the 5,000-meter cross-country run. They only used half a minute to complete the 3 events? What kind of joke was this? Was this still the speed a person should have? Chapter 1574. The voices of the 2 referees shocked the crowd. Excluding the time taken to run from one event to another, Yun Jian and Ce completed one event every 10 seconds. Lin Zigua, who was standing far away, exclaimed in horror, "No! This is impossible! How can they complete the task in such a short time? And full marks!" If Yun Jian and Ce could complete the 5 kilometers cross-country run in the last 10 minutes and get full marks, then Min City Military School would be first this year. At this moment, not only were Lin Zigua and the other super godly military school students shocked, even the Taiji Military School students widened their eyes in shock. On the other side, Ce calmly reached out and grabbed Yun Jian's hand in front of everyone. The two of them ran towards the route of the 5 kilometers cross-country run. It didn't seem like they were running, but they were actually running very fast. Most importantly, Ce and Yun Jian hadn't used their full strength yet. But even so, it was enough to make everyone's hearts clench. If this continued, even Taiji Military School's first place would be snatched away by them. There was a part of the 5 kilometers cross-country run that went around the foot of the mountain. Both the teachers and the referees couldn't see anyone during this part of the route. The stronger boys from Taiji Military School looked at each other and then greeted the other boys from Taiji Military School. Then, they quietly walked towards the small path at the back of the mountain. There's a good show to watch. Let's go watch it. Lin Zigua saw this and brought a few students from his school to chase after them. Wang Kuan and the rest didn't notice the small movements of Taiji Military School and Lin Zigua's group. The people from Min City Military School were still standing in place, waiting for Yun Jian and Ce to arrive. Back of the mountain, Ce and Yun Jian were sprinting at top speed. To outsiders, they looked like they were sprinting, but at this moment, Ce was holding Yun Jian's hand as he jogged with Yun Jian at his slowest speed. The two of you, if you're smart, you'd better stop right now. Don't lose this round on purpose. Our Taiji Military Academy has been in first place since the start of the friendly competition. If Taiji Military Academy loses the competition because of you, we won't let you off. A few boys from Taiji Military Academy rushed out from the small path and stood in front of Yun Jian and Ce's route. They blocked Yun Jian and Ce from afar. The boys from Taiji Military Academy were all tall and strong. They stood in a row and blocked Yun Jian and Ce's path. From the looks of it, even if they couldn't beat Yun Jian and Ce, they still wanted to prevent Yun Jian and Ce from reaching the finish line in the allotted time. If Yun Jian and Ce got full marks this time, then no one would be able to change Min City Military School's first place. Lin Zigua and the rest, who were following behind, watched from afar. There wasn't much time left. With the boys from Taiji Military Academy blocking them, Yun Jian and Ce definitely wouldn't be able to reach the finish line in the allotted time. Lin Zigua grinned and thought that the boys from Taiji Military Academy would definitely be able to stop Yun Jian and Ce. Lin Zigua and the rest were shocked to see this scene. However, Yun Jian and Ce didn't even look at the boys from Taiji Military Academy. The two of them leaped up from the ground in tacit understanding. They jumped 2 meters high and stepped on the heads of the 2 boys from Taiji Military Academy. With a light leap, they bypassed the boys from Taiji Military Academy and continued running. The 2 boys from Taiji Military Academy were so angry that their faces turned green. Yun Jian and Ce had already run forward. No matter how hard the boys from Taiji Military Academy and Lin Zigua and the rest chased after them, they couldn't catch up. There was no doubt that Min City Military School's first place was in the bag. Yun Jian had just finished running when she saw Yu Xiaoluo standing by the side at the finish line. Seeing that Yun Jian had reached the finish line, Yu Xiaoluo waved at her. Although she didn't know why Yu Xiaoluo was here, Yun Jian still walked over. Ce didn't follow her because Yu Xiaoluo had stopped her. In the dark, Yu Xiaoluo frowned slightly. He turned his head and said to Yun Jian, "The hunting school selection has been brought forward. It will officially start in 7 days. Then, there will be a month of closed training. Those who are eliminated will be sent out of the selection field. Are you ready?" Hearing this, Yun Jian raised her eyebrows slightly and said softly, "I'm always ready." Chapter 1575. Since you're always prepared, I'm relieved. I'm just worried that the selection would be held a month later, but now that it's brought forward, you won't be prepared. Yu Xiaoluo was relieved to hear Yun Jian say that she was ready. He was afraid that Yun Jian would be eliminated within a few days of going to the selection if she wasn't prepared. The selection, as the name suggested, was to select those who could represent country Z and go to the hunting school to further their studies. The selection would eliminate all the shortlisted candidates, and the top 3 special forces would be selected in the end. The top 3 special forces would be members who could go to the hunting school to further their studies. Okay. Yun Jian nodded at Yu Xiaoluo. Although Yun Jian's attitude towards Yu Xiaoluo was normal, it was all thanks to Yu Xiaoluo's recommendation in front of Min City's principal Ma that she was able to enter the selection. Yu Xiaoluo was Gu Yunjian's comrade. He had promised Gu Junjian that he would take good care of Yun Jian at Min City's military academy. He did it and even did her a big favor. Yun Jian had always been a person who would take revenge and repay kindness. Although she wouldn't say much, she would always remember his kindness in her heart. "Yun Jian, you can go over there and gather first. I'll leave first. I have a mission. I was just passing by, so I thought I'd tell you about it." Yu Xiaoluo saw that the students from Min City's military academy had already gathered and were preparing to return to Min City. He quickly reached out and pointed in their direction before speaking to Yun Jian. After Yu Xiaoluo finished speaking, he turned around and left first. He was wearing a dark green military uniform. His tall and handsome figure was enough to make many women scream. Yun Jian walked over to Ce the moment Yu Xiaoluo turned around. "What did you say?" Ce grabbed Yun Jian's little hand and asked softly. Yun Jian told Ce that she was going to the hunting school. Ce tacitly agreed with Yun Jian's decision. As long as her decision didn't endanger her life, he wouldn't stop her. "Coincidentally, I'm also going back to the organization. Call me when you're back." As soon as she returned, he would return to Min City's military academy or Longmen City immediately. Since she wasn't around, he naturally wouldn't stay a second longer. He reached out and rubbed Yun Jian's head as he said softly. He loved her more and more. Just like when he was the Lord Divine Lord, he was willing to give up his life for her. Ce didn't tell anyone that he had recovered all his memories from his previous life when the sandalwood box was opened. Yun Jian's memory stopped at that moment, but Ce's memory had completely recovered. However, he did not intend to tell her about his memory recovery. If possible, he hoped that she would never regain her memories. Back then, the sorcerer tribe had been framed by the black-robed man. The sorcerer god had used all of his spiritual energy to protect the sorcerer tribe, but he himself had gone against the heavenly Tao and his soul had been destroyed. As a divine sovereign, he didn't even think twice before using his own godhead to defy the heavenly Tao and save her. A god who used his godhead would have his soul destroyed directly. He had planned to exchange his life for hers. Afraid that the black-robed man would harm her again, he forcefully tore open the stone tunnel to earth and sent her there. As for himself, his soul should have been destroyed because he had gone against the heavenly Tao, but somehow, he had fallen to earth and followed her. As for his 4 guardians, the 4 leaders of an Hun group, they had followed him to earth voluntarily and had lost their memories of their past lives. One of the most important reasons Ce didn't want Yun Jian to remember the past was that the black-robed man must be the mysterious person who had never shown himself. If she remembered this, based on his understanding of her, she would definitely seek revenge from the mysterious person. He didn't want any accidents to happen to her, not even the slightest possibility. It was enough for him to take revenge for her alone. He had once said that even if he were to die, it would be him taking her place. Chapter 1576. Amen. Yoon Jian, who stood in front of him, lifted her head to glance at him before lowering it shyly. Looking at Yoon Jian, Ce felt that everything he had done was worth it. At least now, she was willing to be with him openly. Just as Ce was thinking about it, Yoon Jian suddenly told him, "You're right. If you don't come back, I'll look for you in the organization." Look for him in an Hun group. Ce's lips curled up at her words. In the next second, he pulled her into his arms. "Xiao Jian, I'll never let go of you in this lifetime, the next lifetime, and the lifetime after that, forever." He hugged her waist and declared solemnly, "Even if the sky falls, I'll never leave you." Yoon Jian hugged his firm chest in front of her classmates. "Yo yo. Over there, over there. Ha ha ha." Wang Kuan and the rest had no more opinions about Yoon Jian and Ce now that they had gotten first place in Min City's military academy. Looking at Yoon Jian and Ce hugging each other, Wang Kuan and the rest started teasing them instead, their initial sarcasm gone. Not long after they returned to Min City's military academy, Ce went back to an Hun group first. Yoon Jian had to prepare for the selection field these days, so Principal Ma personally approved Yoon Jian's 7-day leave after she returned to Min City's military academy. These 7 days allowed Yoon Jian to prepare in advance for the selection field. In fact, Yoon Jian did not have to prepare anything intentionally, but she accepted the 7-day leave that Principal Ma applied for her gladly. It was Friday when she returned to school, so school was dismissed right after she arrived. Lin Wan and Mu Ying walked out of the school gate with her. As they walked, Lin Wan was still very envious of Yoon Jian. "Wow, you can have 7 days off. That's so cool. I really envy you, Yoon Jian. We can rest for 2 days on the weekend." Mu Ying whispered at the side. "That's different. We have 2 days off on the weekend and have to go back to school. Yoon Jian can rest for 7 days. 7 days. It's as long as the National Day holiday," Lin Wan said enviously. Most of the students were counting the days until the holidays. Mu Ying, on the other hand, felt that school was a very safe place after her bloody experience in the Hun organization in her previous life. On this point, everyone's experiences were different, and their understandings were also different. Just as she returned to Longmen City, Yoon Jian received Ning Lanlan's call. It had been a while since he last saw Ning Lanlan. He first met Ning Lanlan when they were having a barbecue by the river. Ning Lanlan had borrowed salt from Yoon Jian and the others. Ning Lanlan was a very energetic girl who used to study in foreign languages high school. After her senior high school entrance exams, she got into Longmen City's second high school. Second high school was considered a key high school in Longmen City. Although it was not as good as first high school where Yoon studied, being able to get into second high school was already an impressive feat in 1999. Mobile phones were gradually becoming more common. Children from wealthy families already had mobile phones in their hands. Ning Lanlan asked Yoon Jian out to play and Yoon Jian did not reject her. Initially, Yoon Jian had planned to look for Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Xinyi, and Ling Yichen when she returned to Longmen City. She wanted to look for Zhang Xiaofeng because she wanted to supervise Zhang Xiaofeng on whether Zhang Xiaofeng had trained properly while she was away. However, since Ning Lanlan asked her out, Yoon Jian put aside the idea of looking for Zhang Xiaofeng and the others. They agreed to meet on Saturday. The next day, Yoon Jian wore clothes of decent quality today. It was a white top with a pair of dark blue jeans. The jeans showed off her figure very well. Yoon Jian's exquisite beauty was exposed completely in this outfit. At the meeting place, Yoon Jian saw Ning Lanlan. There were 3 to 4 young men and women standing beside Ning Lanlan. Yoon Jian knew one of them. It was the senior whom Ning Lanlan admired, Xiao Zhiming. Chapter 1577. Ning Lanlan was waving at Yoon Jian with 7 tickets in her hand. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a newly opened scenic spot in Longmen City. Soaring Dragon Mountain was a natural sightseeing platform with natural beauty. Later on, after some artificial modification, it became the current scenic spot. The reason why Soaring Dragon Mountain was charged was that its scenic spot was great. Many TV drama crews would visit Soaring Dragon Mountain to shoot scenes. Nowadays, TV dramas and movies were gradually becoming popular in the leisure time of the people. It was not as popular as it was now, but to people back then, it had gradually developed into a pastime to kill time. How did TV dramas and movies come about? Of course, they were filmed. Therefore, the term production crew was deeply ingrained in people's hearts. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful and many production crews loved to visit it. This was why many people were willing to pay to enter Soaring Dragon Mountain now. The goal was to see how those magical TV dramas were filmed. After all, in this era, high-tech things like TV dramas and movies were magical to many people. I have tickets here. Shall we go to Soaring Dragon Mountain now? Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian into her arms when she saw Yun Jian coming over. Yun Jian did not object. It was not a bad thing to go out for a walk when they were free. The teenagers standing around them were Xiao Zhiming's friends. Yun Jian had long known that Ning Lanlan had a crush on Xiao Zhiming. As for the other teenagers, Ning Lanlan did not know them very well. Foreign Languages High School had a high school section as well. It was a pity that Ning Lanlan did not get into the high school section during the middle school exams. Xiao Zhiming was a student of Foreign Languages High School and Ning Lanlan and Xiao Zhiming were no longer in the same school. Even so, Ning Lanlan still wanted to drag Xiao Zhiming out with her. In spite of it, Xiao Zhiming had a lot of friends and there were a lot of tickets to Soaring Dragon Mountain this time, so he brought a few of his classmates to go with him. Soaring Dragon Mountain was beautiful indeed. It could be seen from the entrance of the scenic spot. As soon as they entered the entrance of the scenic area, Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian's hand and walked to the side to tell Yun Jian mysteriously and excitedly. Yun Jian, did you know? Senior Zhiming said that after we finish high school, he will agree to be with me because he has to prepare for the college entrance exam. He doesn't want to be distracted. Sometimes love was just that cheap. Even if one had to wait for 3 days, as long as there was a time limit, it was enough to make a person go crazy. Ning Lanlan was just like that. Ning Lanlan pulled Yun Jian aside and whispered a lot to her. She also asked if Yun Jian was doing well recently. When the group of people climbed to the top of Longting Mountain, they saw that not far away, there was a film crew filming, and there were many people watching the show. Hey! They're filming over there. Let's go take a look. Ning Lanlan grabbed Yun Jian's hand excitedly and ran over. Xiao Zhiming, as well as a few accompanying boys and girls, also ran over. Right in front of everyone, a man and a woman dressed in ancient costumes were filming a battle scene. Kakaka. Xueqi, you're acting as a female assassin. Do you know what a female assassin is? What's with that gentle look of yours? The director beside them was so angry that he immediately yelled at the actress to cut the scene. Director, I don't know how to do it. The actress stomped her feet and replied coyly. Ning Lanlan and the rest who were standing far away were excited as they had never seen a film before. However, the girlfriend of one of Xiao Zhiming's friends pouted. She said in a softer voice, I think she's quite good at acting. Xiao Zhiming's friend's girlfriend was called Xueqi. She was quite good-looking and had a nice body. Xueqi was only halfway through her sentence when Yun Jian's voice came from the side. The moment they heard Yun Jian's voice, the people around them looked at her. However, Yun Jian's sharp words echoed throughout the place. Chapter 1578. Xueqi had just finished speaking when Yun Jian spoke up. It was obviously a slap to her face. Xueqi was displeased at once. Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan were walking together and Xueqi was not particularly familiar with the latter. If it were not for Yun Jian who spoke up after Xueqi might not have spoken a word to Yun Jian after they were done with the scenic spot of Longtang Mountain. In spite of it, Yun Jian's quick response was obviously a slap to Xueqi's face. Hence, Xueqi's face darkened as she spoke to Yun Jian. You sound so serious. Have you been an assassin before? How do you know so much about them? Xueqi's words were sharp. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that she was targeting Yun Jian. Ning Lanlan picked it up as well and spoke to Xueqi on Yun Jian's behalf. Xiao Jian is a military school student now. Of course, she knows about this. Huh. Should she know about assassins just because she's a military school student? Why don't you say that she used to be an assassin? Xueqi rolled her eyes at Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan, her tone rather inappropriate. Ching, that's enough. Xueqi's boyfriend who stood beside her was trying to hold her back, not wanting her to continue talking to Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan. Hey, let go. Situ Ching flung her boyfriend's hand away like she was pissed off. She stood aside in a huff. Cough. This little girl's analysis is very thorough. I don't know if this little girl has some understanding of this profession. Can I ask this little girl to teach the actors in our cast? The director heard Yun Jian's comment and put down his microphone at once to go to Yun Jian. Logically, the director was supposed to be a superior person, but he was different. Not only did he not scold Yun Jian for spouting nonsense after hearing her comment just now, he went over to ask for Yun Jian's advice instead. Director, why don't you ask her? She was just a student from some trashy military school. She wasn't a real assassin and only knew how to spout nonsense. What kind of strength did she have? Seeing that the director came over to ask for advice from Yun Jian, Situ Ching thought of Yun Jian's behavior just now and complained to the director angrily about Yun Jian. Yun Jian did not pay attention to Situ Ching at all. Seeing that the director was trying to learn, she said, "His moves are as gentle as water. He doesn't have the agility and vigilance that a killer should have. The actor you found to play the killer is too lousy." "Oh, my level is too low? My level is too low? You're amazing. Do you know how? I've never seen an assassin before. If you do, why don't you demonstrate it for me?" The actress named Xueqi, who was standing not far away, heard Yun Jian's words. She was so angry that she shouted at Yun Jian. "Watch carefully. I'll only demonstrate once." Yun Jian really walked over there. The actress on the other side was stunned. When Yun Jian got there and came face to face with the male actor who was the actress's rival just now, the people around them were stunned. "You think you've been an assassin just because you studied in a military school? You're really amazing. Does that mean that if I studied in a key high school, I'm the top scholar in the middle school entrance examination in the country? You..." Before Situ Ching could finish her sentence, someone screamed, "Look there!" Hearing this, everyone around looked over there, only to see that Yun Jian's eyes were sharp in the next second. The actor standing in front of her took 2 steps back in surprise. In the next breath, she strode forward and grabbed the prop sword in the actor's hand. She kicked the actor's knee with one foot and pinned him down with a backhand. This scene caused the surrounding crowd to be somewhat astonished. Especially Situ Ching. Her pupils constricted. However, this was not the end. After the actor who was pinned down came to his senses, he raised his head and stared at Yun Jian with his eyes wide open. "In front of everyone," he said in a panic, "I have 15 years of martial arts foundation. Unfortunately, I once met a senior assassin. At that time, I couldn't last more than 10 moves against that senior assassin. In the end, I risked my life to save myself." Chapter 1579. As soon as the male actor said that, the people around them were shocked. Situ Ching and the actress Xueqi, in particular, looked as terrible as charcoal. "I'll be a soldier in the future." At that moment, Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said calmly, "Little girl, you're going to be a soldier in the future? Which school are you studying in, Lu?" After watching Yun Jian's move just now, the director clapped his hands at her and made his way to them. Yun Jian's words changed the topic of Yun Jian being an assassin. That was right. How could such a young girl be an assassin? "My friend is studying in Min City's military academy. She's amazing. You'll know who she is if you go to her school and ask for her name." Ning Lanlan walked over and hugged Yun Jian's shoulder. She turned around and glared at Situ Ching as if she was standing up for Yun Jian. Situ Ching and the actress Xueqi did not look too good. "Min City's military academy? Little girl, you're amazing. You're studying in Min City's military academy. You'll be a great soldier when you grow up. Study hard and bring glory to the country." The director glanced at Yun Jian with admiration. "I will." Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. As Yun Jian spoke to the director, Situ Ching and the actress Xueqi did not look too good. All right. Xueqi, continue. Did you see what this little girl demonstrated for you? Do what she did just now. Bring out your aura. Act well." After speaking to Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan, the director turned around with a thin script and waved it up and down to get the actors to continue. Situ Ching was left standing on the spot. Her expression was extremely grim. As it turned out, Yun Jian had given her a hard slap in the face. Situ Ching was a stubborn person. After what happened just now, She was suddenly enraged. She turned around and walked down Long Tang Mountain. Situ Qing's boyfriend saw that and quickly chased after her. Qing, where are you going? Slow down. Don't throw a tantrum. Situ Qing refused to continue strolling around Long Tang Mountain, so she left with her boyfriend. Situ Qing's boyfriend was Xiao Zhiming's friend. Xiao Zhiming smiled awkwardly and said to Yun Jian and Ning Lanlan, "Don't mind them. Let's continue shopping." Dragon Soaring Mountain had great scenery. Yun Jian, Ning Lanlan, and the others spent the whole afternoon there and went home at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When they arrived at the foot of Soaring Dragon Mountain, Xiao Zhiming invited Ning Lanlan to walk around alone. Ning Lanlan was over the moon. Seeing that, Yun Jian left first. Yun Jian did not go home but went to Qing Yu's suite instead. Qing Yu stayed in Longmen City now, participating in the management of both New Cruise and Falcon Hall. Yun Jian came over to tell her something. However, just as they arrived at the door of Qing Yu's luxurious suite, Si Luo's voice came from inside. I'm not leaving. I want to stay with Sister Qing Yu and Sister Gun Yan. Sister Qing Yu said that men and women shouldn't touch each other. I don't want to stay with you. I don't want to sleep with you. This isn't right. Yun Jian heard what Si Luo said to Xueqi before she even stepped through the door. Her eyes flickered. Yun Jian had just reached the door when she saw Xueqi grabbing Si Luo's wrist. The scar on his neck could be vaguely seen. Xueqi frowned at Si Luo's words. He did not look happy but he held Si Luo's delicate wrist forcefully. He only spoke in a domineering tone after Si Luo was done speaking. You have to stay with me no matter what. Why? I don't want to stay with you. Let go of me, let go of me. Si Luo shrunk back in fear, still not daring to meet Xueqing's eyes. Xueqing was indeed a man who did not know how to speak. He twitched his lips a few times but did not utter the words because I like you. Sister Qing Yu said that we can't stay together, much less sleep together. Otherwise, I won't be able to get married. Si Luo panicked, trying to pull her hand back from Xueqing's grip. Unexpectedly, Xueqing pulled Si Luo to him in a huff after hearing her and pinched her chin with his other hand, hissing through gritted teeth. Chapter 1580. Looking at Xueqing, Si Luo was a little scared. She was about to say something to Xueqing when she saw Yun Jian standing at the door. Sister Yun Jian, help me talk to him. I don't want to leave. I want to stay with Sister Qing Yu and Sister Gun Yan. I don't want to stay with him. Looking at Yun Jian, Si Luo pressed her lips together. She did look like a pitiful little wife. Si Luo was just an ordinary girl with zero love history, not to mention knowing why Xueqing was treating her like this. Si Luo was afraid that Xueqing would do this to her. After hearing what Xueqing said, she was even more terrified. She felt like Xueqing was going to kill her. Young madam, I can listen to your orders for anything else but you don't have to care about this. Xueqing said in a serious tone. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and glanced at Qing Yu and Gun Yanji who were hiding on the side without saying a word, giggling with their hands over their mouths. Feeling thick-skinned, she uttered softly in a very unkind tone. I didn't see anything. Didn't see anything? To hell with it. She saw everything, right? Qing Yu and Gun Yan who were sitting on the sofa smirked at Yun Jian. In the end, Si Luo was taken away by Xueqing in her final struggle. After Si Luo was taken away by Xueqing, Yun Jian went to Qing Yu and Gun Yan. Sister Jian, you're so kind. Qing Yu teased Yun Jian. Do you want to go to Africa? Yun Jian sat on the sofa and turned to look at Qing Yu with a smirk. Don't, Sister Jian. You can't do that. Qing Yu shook her head quickly, almost freaking out from Yun Jian's words. When she was done teasing, Qing Yu's expression turned grim as she reported to Yun Jian about the recent information collected by the Kosha mercenaries. Sister Jian, Master asked me to tell you that there's an assassin organization called Blood Doll in Southeast Asia recently. It's taking down other organizations in Southeast Asia in the shortest time possible and has become the top organization in Southeast Asia. During this period, the Blood Doll had interfered with the Kosha mercenaries' missions many times. He even left behind cards written in blood to provoke us. But even our Kosha mercenaries' intelligence team can't find out anything about the Blood Doll. What should we do next? Qing Yu's master was Snake. Lizard. The The blood doll that Qin Yu mentioned was a new assassin organization in Southeast Asia. His origin was unknown. The purpose is unknown. The motive is unknown. Recently, the blood doll had interfered with the kosher mercenaries' missions many times. His motive seemed to be deliberately interfering with the kosher mercenaries' operations. Blood doll. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said these 3 words calmly. Yes. Qin Yu nodded. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and said softly, stay put and wait for the enemy to make the first move. Southeast Asia was located in the southeast of Asia. There were a total of 11 countries. The kosher mercenaries and an Hun organization's branches were located far away from Southeast Asia. That was why the blood doll could develop in Southeast Asia. Of course, the rise and fall of assassin organizations was a common occurrence. Yun Jian could not and would not care about it. However, the blood doll had been provoking the kosher mercenaries again and again when it was still in its development stage. A smart person would not have done that. The blood doll must have its own reasons for doing so. Yun Jian was not stupid. Of course, she would not choose to attack the blood doll directly. I'll inform Master right away. Qin Yu nodded at Yun Jian. Yun Jian nodded. It was already 4 p.m. when Yun Jian returned home. Ce was not around, so Yun Jian went to Gu Yunjian's mansion. Qin Yiru had already prepared dinner when she entered Gu Yunjian's mansion. There was only Yun Jian, Qin Yiru, and Xiao Yunju for dinner. Gu Junjian should still be out on a mission. Xiao Jian, I'm planning to let Xiao Zhu and the others stay at your Auntie Dong Ruan's house for a few days tomorrow. Your aunt is sick and she doesn't have any relatives or friends outside the province. I'm planning to take a ride with your grandma to visit her. Chapter 1581. Qin Yiru rarely interacted with her relatives and friends. Her friends whom she visited frequently were only Dong Ruan and Mrs. Yang. Other than that, she rarely interacted with her maternal relatives. Gu Yunjian's parents were both dead and she did not have any visiting relatives. Therefore, she rarely visited her relatives and friends. Therefore, Qin Yiru cherished her family very much. Even if her mother, Yun Jian's grandmother, Zhang Meihua, had been cruel to her in the past. Yun Jian's grandmother, Zhang Meihua, gave birth to 4 children. The eldest daughter was Qin Junlan, the second son was Qin Liqian, the third daughter was Qin Yiru, and the fourth daughter was Qin Fangfang. Qin Yiru was the third. Ever since the previous incident, the only person who was close to Qin Yiru was her fourth sister, Qin Fangfang. Qin Fangfang was Yun Jian's aunt. Back then, Qin Fangfang and Qin Yiru were very close. They were so close that they could talk about anything. Later on, Qin Fangfang married out of the province. Qin Yiru only visited Qin Fangfang's family during the new year. Their relationship gradually faded. When Yun Jian's new cruise was first established, there was a car exhibition. Qin Fangfang's husband's family owned a car marketing company, so she came over to take a look. Since then, Yun Jian had never seen her aunt again. Mom, I'll go with you, Yun Jian spoke up after Qin Yiru spoke up. Yun Jian still remembered that Qin Fangfang was very nice to Qin Yiru back then. However, Qin Fangfang's mother-in-law mocked Qin Yiru in every possible way. Later on, when they found out that Yun Jian was the director of New Cruise, they stopped. Yun Jian was afraid that Qin Yiru would be bullied again if she followed them. Coincidentally, she was given a few days off, so she could find some time to go with them. Moreover, Qin Fangfang treated Qin Yiru quite well. She was going to visit her aunt. Sure, let's go together if Xiao Jian is willing to go. I've only been there 2 or 3 times and the environment is pretty good. It'll take about 13 hours to get there by train. It's a little far but it's okay. Qin Yiru said. Qin Yiru was still a country bumpkin in her bones. She was used to taking the train when she went out for a long trip. For Qin Yiru, an advanced means of transportation like the plane was still quite extravagant. Yun Jian didn't mention that she was going there by plane. She would arrive there in 2 hours at most. She also wanted to experience the feeling of riding a train. After chatting with Qin Yiru, Yun Jian went to look for Zhang Xiaofeng, Chen Sini, and Ling Yichen that night. Every time Yun Jian returned to Longmen City, she would look for Zhang Xiaofeng. Zhang Xiaofeng was her first disciple. She did not expect Zhang Xiaofeng to become a big shot in the international rankings. At the very least, she wanted Zhang Xiaofeng to become someone who was comparable to a high-level assassin. Zhang Xiaofeng had indeed fulfilled her initial wish. He did not complain about being tired. Chen Sini was the same as before, always teasing Zhang Xiaofeng. The next day, Yun Jian, Qin Yiru, and Zhang Meihua, who had come to Longmen City, took the train to her aunt Qin Fangfang's husband's home. Pudong City, Gan Province. Gan Province was a moderately prosperous province, and Pudong City was considered one of the most developed areas in the province. Pudong City was where Yun Jian's aunt Qin Fangfang's home was located. Taking bus number 13, Yun Jian, Qin Yiru, and Zhang Meihua arrived at Qin Fangfang's husband's home. Qin Fangfang's husband was also in the car marketing business and was considered a wealthy family. Her family lived in a villa and could be considered as one of the most affluent families. Just as they arrived, Zhang Meihua led Yun Jian and Qin Yiru into the house with familiarity. Just as they entered, they saw Qin Fangfang's mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang, standing not far away, greeting a large group of people. These people looked to be Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends, both adults and children. Mother-in-law, mother-in-law, where's my daughter? Zhang Meihua quickly brought Yun Jian and Qin Yiru over to ask. Chapter 1582. Zhu Hengxiang was Qin Fangfang's mother-in-law. She had been to Longmen City the last time, so she knew Yun Jian. Zhu Hengxiang shuddered the moment she saw Yun Jian. She glanced at Zhang Meihua before averting her eyes to the side, obviously feeling guilty. Yun Jian could tell right away. She raised a brow without saying a word. Zhang Meihua had always been proud that her fourth daughter, Qin Fangfang, had married into a good family. When Zhang Meihua saw Zhu Hengxiang, it was as if she had seen her own daughter. She reached out to grab Zhu Hengxiang's hand excitedly and continued to butter her up. "Oh, my in-law, we're so close. You don't have to be so courteous. I heard that my daughter is sick, so I came to take a look." As she spoke, Zhang Meihua took out a bag of bananas she bought from the roadside and shoved it into Zhu Hengxiang's hand. "Here, in-law, we bought these just now. They're fresh. Try them." Zhu Hengxiang's eyes darted around. She took the bananas from Zhang Meihua and stammered awkwardly. Oh, you're too kind, in-law." "Hengxiang, who's this girl? She's so pretty. Which relative of yours is she?" An old woman in her 50s or 60s, about the same age as Zhu Hengxiang, came over and asked. As she spoke, the old woman's eyes were trained on Yun Jian. "Isn't this my daughter-in-law's elder sister's daughter?" Zhu Hengxiang said to the old woman beside her. "Your daughter-in-law's elder sister's daughter? Hengxiang, isn't your daughter-in-law?" The old woman blurted out when Zhu Hengxiang mentioned Qin Fangfang. "Cough, cough, cough. It's nothing. We're all family. Come and have some fruits first. I remember that you're Yun Jian. Come in, there are a few girls and boys about your age over there. Go over and have some fun." Zhu Hengxiang said as she gestured for Qin Yiru to bring Yun Jian to the sofa. On the other side of the sofa were Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends who had come to visit. A few of them were young girls and boys who were about the same age as Yun Jian. "No, in-law, where is my daughter?" Zhang Meihua asked again as Zhu Hengxiang pushed her to sit on the sofa. "Fangfang, she went out with buy one to buy something. She'll be back soon." Zhu Hengxiang rolled her eyes and quickly said. Yun Jian and Qin Yiru were sitting on the sofa. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. Zhu Hengxiang's flaw was too obvious. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that she was up to something. Could it be? Something happened to Qin Fangfang? "Hey, what's your name?" A young man sitting opposite Yun Jian looked up at Yun Jian and asked. This young man was obviously the child of one of Zhu Hengxiang's relatives. He was about the same age as Yun Jian. "My daughter's name is Yun Jian." Qin Yiru was quite polite. She nodded at the young man and said, "Haha, Zijie, you really want to flirt with girls wherever you go." Another young man sitting next to him said to the young man who asked for Yun Jian's name. The young man who asked for Yun Jian's name was Hang Zijie. He was the son of one of Zhu Hengxiang's relatives. "Brother Zijie, didn't you buy a new laptop? Hurry up and take it out for everyone to see." Hang Zijie was just asking for Yun Jian's name. At this moment, a young girl sitting next to him glared at Yun Jian and said to Hang Zijie smugly. Computers in 1999 were not cheap, especially laptops. It was rare for an adult to have a laptop in their hands, let alone a child who had such a valuable item. When Hang Zijie heard this, he quickly took out his laptop from the side, opened the lid, and turned it on. Wait, let me install a program. Hang Zijie glanced at Yun Jian. Seeing that Yun Jian did not care about his laptop, he added another sentence. Wow, Brother Zijie, you know how to install programs? You're as good as a hacker. The young girl said again. Installing programs and hacking were two completely different concepts. However, this young girl forcefully linked the two together. No, I'm embarrassed when you say that. Hang Zijie glanced at Yun Jian again and scratched his head. Chapter 1583. After hearing what Hang Zijie said, Yun Jian curled her lips slightly and didn't reply. Zijie Gij, I think she probably hasn't come into contact with a laptop before. At most, she used a computer or two in school, the girl from before added. Duo, don't say that, Hang Zijie restrained the girl's words. This girl's name was Wang Duo. She looked about a year younger than Yun Jian, about 15 years old. Hang Zijie and Wang Duo's families weren't poor, especially Hang Zijie's family. Thinking about it, Hang Zijie was able to afford a laptop. From this point, it could be seen that Hang Zijie's family was definitely not too poor. I'm just telling the truth. Wang Duo glanced at Hang Zijie and said innocently. Oh right, Zihang. Isn't your brother a hacker? I heard that 2 years ago, he used a computer to hack into a large company's technology department and was reported to be in jail for half a year. How's he doing now? The boy sitting next to Hang Zijie asked. As he asked, he glanced at Yun Jian from the corner of his eye. Boys in their youth all had a common problem, which was that they liked to show off in front of girls. The boy sitting next to Hang Zijie was called Duan Chengxian. He was tall and well-built with a lean body. His looks were all right and he looked like a delicate-looking teenager. Seeing his brother being so cooperative, Hang Zijie smiled and said, My brother is just like that. Now that he's out of prison, he's going to work in a large company. He won't dare to casually hack into the technology department of other companies, lest he gets caught and squatted in jail again. Young boys and girls mainly talked about things that were strange. Whoever said something strange would be the most successful at showing off. Take Hang Zijie for example. Not only did Hang Zijie think that his brother was a hacker, but others also thought that it was unheard of and that it was amazing. More importantly, he even thought that his brother had been in jail before and was different from others. This was something worth showing off about. Your brother was in jail before? Sure enough, the moment Hang Zijie said that, another girl beside him asked curiously. Hang Zijie said something to the girls then turned to look at Yun Jian. However, seeing that Yun Jian didn't move at all, he couldn't help but have some doubts in his heart. Why was she the same as other girls? Wasn't she curious or surprised? Shouldn't they be chasing after him and asking him all sorts of questions? Wow, I suddenly feel that hackers are amazing. Brother Zijie, you should learn from your brother and learn all his hacking skills. That sounds so cool. Wang Duo said again with a look of admiration. Yun Jian pursed her lips and remained silent. That's right. I really want to know who's the best hacker in the world. Duan Chengxian, who was sitting next to them, added, his eyes shining. I asked my brother about this question, and my brother told me about it. Hang Zijie said exaggeratedly. Who? At this moment, all the young boys and girls looked over. Everyone wanted to know the answer to this question. Yun Jian, do you know? Hang Zijie saw that Yun Jian simply closed her eyes. He couldn't accept that Yun Jian wasn't surprised by what he said, so he asked again. I don't know. Yun Jian directly replied with 3 words. My brother said that the best hacker's account name is SS, but no one knows who she is. No one can find out her background. I think she should be a very powerful hermit. Hang Zijie said proudly. His words were bragging as if the person he was talking about was himself. Wow. Is that true? She's that good? The young boys and girls beside them exclaimed. Of course. My brother is amazing, right? He said that he can't even compare to a millionth of the person with the account name SS. And I heard that the person with the account name SS has broken into the national defense systems of countless countries. Her hacking skills are so cool that it's off the charts. There was once when she directly disintegrated a large country's armed forces equipment in just a few minutes. Chapter 1584. This person called SS is so powerful. The people around immediately exclaimed, especially Wang Duo and Duan Chengxian, who helped Hang Zijie show off his brother's abilities. They were now covering their mouths and exaggerating. Girls and boys like Wang Duo and Duan Chengxian liked to make a big fuss whenever they encountered something. Hacker was a new term that everyone came into contact with. In the past, when the internet was not developed, hackers naturally did not exist. Now, with the development of the internet, the term hacker gradually appeared in people's eyes. Yeah, in the world of hackers, that SS ability has reached a level that no one can surpass. My brother said that the top hackers in the world joined forces and tried to break SS system to find out the true identity of SS. Guess what happened in the end? Hang Zijie saw that Yun Jian's eyes were closed and now she opened them. He thought that Yun Jian must be interested in what he said, so he spoke more enthusiastically. For a guy like Hang Zijie, to be able to show off in front of a beautiful girl and make the other party feel that he was very powerful, this was a very satisfying thing. However, Yun Jian only opened her eyes and did not say anything. She even slightly raised her red lips and did not say anything. What happened next? Aya, brother Zijie, only you know the result here, don't keep us in suspense. Wang Duo heard Hang Zijie's words and instantly felt very proud of her good relationship with Hang Zijie. She said in a slightly coquettish tone. In the end, those top hackers who joined forces were directly blocked by SS system in less than 30 seconds. Even the computer's screen went black. They are all top-notch hackers. They are professionals and should be able to break SS ban, but SS ability is who knows how many times stronger than them. They couldn't fight back at all. Hang Zijie said while paying attention to the reactions of the girls around him. He saw that the girls around him widened their eyes in surprise, and some even made a sound. His self-esteem was greatly satisfied. All right, my brother will be here in the afternoon. I can let my brother show you his hacking skills. Hang Zijie added another sentence. Hearing this, the boys and girls around him instantly felt their blood boil. Yun Jian was the only one who remained seated. She narrowed her eyes and curled her red lips. What hacker? Auntie doesn't understand. You children are all so smart. Auntie's generation can't understand these new things at all. Only children like you will be able to learn it in a short time. Qin Yiru glanced at the laptop in Hang Zijie's hand and sighed with emotion. However, when Qin Yiru said this, no one paid any attention to her. Mom, if you want to study computers, I can teach you, Yun Jian said to Qin Yiru after hearing Qin Yiru's words. Okay, Mom has to keep up with the trend, haha. Qin Yiru readily accepted Yun Jian's words. Qin Yiru was not an old-fashioned person. She was willing to accept things from the new era, which might be different from some parents. You have a laptop at home? You know how to use a computer. Unexpectedly, just as Yun Jian and Qin Yiru finished speaking, Hang Zijie and Wang Duo exclaimed. Duan Chengxian and other people around Yun Jian's age also looked at Yun Jian. Everyone was slightly surprised. After all, in this era, there were not many people who could afford a computer. Hang Zijie's family was one of the wealthiest in Pudong City. There are 3 or 4 computers at home. They are all placed there and not used. Although Auntie is old, I still want to learn. Since I bought this computer, I don't want to waste it. Qin Yiru smiled at everyone. Those computers were all bought by Yun Jian. She used the 3 or 4 computers to tie all the systems together and operate the programs to perform the best hacking skills. However, when the surrounding people heard Qin Yiru's words, they were all stunned. Yun Jian had 3 or 4 computers at home. Chapter 1585. Qin Yiru's unintentional words shocked Hang Zijie, Wang Duo, and Duan Chengxian. After all, among the group of people present, only Hang Zijie's family could afford a laptop. In this day and age, people couldn't even live a good life, let alone spend the money to buy a laptop and enjoy life. Hang Zijie's family background was one of the best in Pudong City, so it wasn't surprising that he could afford a laptop, which was considered a rather high-tech and luxurious item in this era. However, Yun Jian and Qin Yiru didn't dress badly today. Qin Yiru even picked out the most expensive outfit she had and changed into it. She was here to visit her younger sister, Qin Fangfang, after all. Naturally, Qin Yiru could not embarrass her maiden family for the latter. Therefore, when Hang Zijie and the others saw Qin Yiru and Yun Jian's clothes, they could accept the fact that Yun Jian had 3 or 4 laptops at home. "All right, brother Zijie. Didn't you say that your brother was going to open an internet cafe?" Wang Duo glared at Yun Jian and spoke up to Hang Zijie, feeling indignant. Open an internet cafe? How many laptops would he need to buy? That would cost a lot of money. A middle-aged woman in her 40s heard Wang Duo's words and said in shock. Most of the people present came from the countryside and weren't rich. This middle-aged woman knew the price of laptops. When Wang Duo said that Hang Zijie's brother was going to open an internet cafe, she couldn't help but exclaim. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Hang Zijie glanced at Yun Jian, who closed her eyes again. He swallowed and said in a slightly boastful tone, "My brother doesn't want to use the money from his parents. He wants to use his own strength." Before Hang Zijie could finish his sentence, a 25-year-old man walked into Zhu Hengxiang's house. He was handsome, about 1.79 meters tall, and had a lean appearance. This man looked 90% similar to Hang Zijie. When the man walked in, his good looks attracted the attention of the girls sitting on the sofa beside Yun Jian. "Wow, so handsome. Oh my god, that person looks like you. Hang Zijie, he is your hacker brother, right?" Seeing Hang Zijie's brother, the group of girls sitting beside Yun Jian asked Hang Zijie excitedly. "Brother." Seeing that the girls around him were excited to see his brother, Hang Zijie was very proud. He stood up from the sofa and walked over to greet him. Yun Jian opened her eyes slightly, but she still didn't make a sound. "This is my brother, Hang Ziliang. My brother's hacking skills are very good. I can show you now." Glancing at Yun Jian, who had opened her eyes, Hang Zijie spoke more and more enthusiastically. Sure enough, his brother was his best asset to show off. "Wow, hackers. I always thought that hackers were people we would never be able to come into contact with. I didn't expect that I would be able to see a real hacker." Someone exclaimed in surprise. Hang Ziliang didn't need to ask to know what had happened. He smiled at the crowd and greeted, "Hello, everyone. Brother, come here. Why don't you demonstrate your hacking skills to everyone?" Hang Zijie pulled Hang Ziliang to his laptop and then stuffed his laptop into Hang Ziliang's hand and said, "What do you want to see?" Hang Ziliang didn't beat around the bush. He sat down and said, "Look, the kid over there is playing games on the computer. Do you have a way to make his screen black?" A girl suggested. Zhu Yuxiang's family is very rich. There are several computers next to this large living room. Everyone is not surprised. At this moment, a little brother is sitting in front of the computer and playing games like crazy. What's so difficult about this? Hang Ziliang smiled and then began to operate the laptop in his hand. He first downloaded a Trojan horse software and then operated it. Hang Ziliang operated for 10 minutes before opening the operating system. Then he began to use the system to search for the ID address of the computer, use the port scanner to determine which ports the other party opened, and analyze the operating system used by the other party. "Is it done?" Someone couldn't wait to see the results. "Wait for me for a while." Hang Ziliang opened his mouth. There were small beads of sweat on his forehead as he spoke. Back then, it had taken him half a year to hack that company's technical department. This procedure alone would take at least half an hour to an hour to complete. Chapter 1586. After this female voice rang out, the surrounding group of people were startled. Then, they turned their heads towards the source of this female voice. Yun Jian had her hands behind her head as she leaned back on the sofa. She pursed her lips as she spoke. "You!" Hang Ziliang stopped what he was doing and looked at Yun Jian in shock. Before Hang Ziliang could speak, Hang Ziliang's younger brother, Hang Zijie, exclaimed to Yun Jian, "Yun Jian, you know how to hack too?" Everyone turned to look at Yun Jian as soon as Hang Zijie finished his sentence. Yun Jian knew how to hack too? Hang Zijie's brother, Hang Ziliang, had been learning how to hack for close to 10 years. He started learning when he was 15 and that was how he got to where he was today. What about Yun Jian? She sounded like she knew how to hack, but if she really knew how to hack, how old was she when she started learning? 5, 6. If Yun Jian really started learning how to hack when she was 5 or 6, even an idiot would know how to striptease. Everyone was waiting for Yun Jian's explanation. Qin Yiru, on the other hand, was not that surprised. She knew that her daughter was the director of new crews and had a lot of contact with computers. It was not surprising that she knew how to hack. That was right. Qin Yiru thought that she knew how to hack if she knew how to use computers. She did not know the difference between using computers and hacking. Qin Yiru was not to be blamed. Women in this era usually did not know how to use computers. In other words, even if there was a computer at home, Qin Yiru would not know how to use it. While everyone was sizing her up, Yun Jian was still sitting there lazily. She replied calmly, "I know a thing or two." If those international guys knew that SS had the audacity to say that she only knew a little about hacking in front of a large group of people, those guys would probably vomit blood in anger. What did she mean by only knowing a thing or two? Yes, she knew a thing or two about hacking. The moment she started, she broke into the national defense digital system of a big country. In the end, she even forced the other party to beg her for mercy and ask for the system to retreat. So you also have some understanding of hacking techniques. Hang Ziyang's hands trembled as he operated the computer system. He put it down and told Yun Jian, "Don't worry about it." Hang Ziyang was already sweating all over. It would take him at least half an hour to an hour to lock onto a computer and turn it into a black screen. However, what Yun Jian said just now surprised Hang Ziyang. 3 seconds of operation to black out the other side of the screen? Is this for real? Only the legendary SS would be able to hack that kid's computer screen in 3 seconds. The little girl sitting opposite him was probably bragging to him, right? Hang Ziyang was a little unhappy. "Little girl, you're amazing. Why don't you give us a demonstration?" Hang Ziyang exited all the system programs and then handed the computer to Yun Jian. Hang Ziyang looked as if he was saying to Yun Jian, "You can do it, then give it a try." But in reality, what Yun Jian said just now made Hang Ziyang feel a little disgusted. No one liked to be praised as weak, especially Hang Ziyang, who was an indomitable man. "No need to bring the computer over." Yun Jian's eyes moved slightly. She still put her hands behind her head and said to Hang Ziyang. Hearing Yun Jian's words, Hang Ziyang couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth. The people around, including Hang Ziyang, were secretly complaining in their hearts. Yun Jian definitely didn't know anything. She was pretending to know. However, just when everyone thought that Yun Jian was pretending to know, Yun Jian suddenly leaned forward. She reached out and pressed 5 keys on the computer that Hang Ziyang was holding. It only took 3 seconds. Chapter 1587. Mom, my computer is broken. I want to play games. Hurry up and fix it. I'm so angry. On the other side, the little boy sitting in front of the computer was so angry that he smashed the keyboard and roared at the woman in front of him because of the black screen. Being interrupted in the middle of a game was the most intolerable thing. Especially children who were addicted to games, the thing they hated the most was the computer suddenly turning black in the middle of a game. The little boy roared and the adults beside him immediately ran over. It was obvious that this little boy was the apple of his family's eye. "Baby, what's wrong? What's wrong?" The little boy's mother hurriedly ran over. "Computer. The computer froze. Hurry up and fix it. I want to play." The little boy had just pointed at the computer screen and spoke to his mother when the computer screen had already recovered from the black screen. "Oh, my little baby, you don't have a fever, do you?" The mother was so scared that she quickly pressed her lips against the little boy's forehead and used her lips to feel the little boy's temperature. Not far away, Yun Jian had just retracted her hand from the laptop's keyboard. The people sitting around maintained their usual dumbfounded expressions. They saw with their own eyes that Yun Jian had tapped 5 times on the laptop's keyboard. In just 3 seconds, the little boy's computer screen had turned black. Then Yun Jian pressed 2 more times on the computer, and the little boy's computer recovered. How could you use such a fast speed to find the other party's computer ID and cause the screen to turn black? Hang Ziyang was scared silly. He stared blankly at Yun Jian and said these words in a daze. "I've been in this industry for so long and I've never seen anyone with a hand speed comparable to yours." Hang Ziyang said these 2 sentences in professional language, so the people around him didn't really understand. When Hang Ziliang said this, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, Duan Chengxian, and the others who were sitting around him all sucked in a breath. Brother, what she did just now, can't you do it? Hang Zijia turned his head to look at his brother, whom he admired very much, and asked. Could his brother not be able to hack a computer screen as quickly as Yun Jian? Yun Jian's actions just now were simply too cool. As soon as Hang Zijia finished speaking, everyone turned to look at Hang Ziliang. Outsiders might not understand, but Hang Ziliang was an insider. Moreover, Hang Ziliang was very powerful. He had once hacked into a large company's technical department. Therefore, everyone present was waiting for Hang Ziliang's evaluation of Yun Jian. Brother Ziliang, you can definitely do what she did just now, right? After Wang Duo saw Yun Jian's move just now, she was a little unconvinced, so she looked sideways at Hang Ziliang and said very intimately. The surrounding people also thought so. Hang Ziliang was such a powerful person. How could he not be better than a little girl like Yun Jian? Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Hang Ziliang smiled bitterly. Then, he shook his head at the crowd and didn't struggle. It seems that I only know a little about hacking skills. I don't think I'll be able to surpass her in this lifetime. I've heard about her hacking skills from my mentor before. It's very difficult. Just remotely controlling a computer screen to turn black was still okay. But if it was a large-scale hacker versus hacker battle, the slightest mistake could even ignite one's own computer and cause the computer to explode. Hang Ziliang's words were imprinted in everyone's hearts. For a moment, the surroundings were incomparably quiet. Chapter 1588. Is it really that dangerous? It can't be a lie, right? Wang Duo swallowed a mouthful of saliva and spat out this sentence. It was just controlling a computer. If it failed, would the computer explode? This was not a sci-fi movie. Wang Duo, do you not believe my brother's words? Hang Zijia worshipped his brother, Hang Ziliang. Hearing Wang Duo doubt his brother's words, Hang Zijia immediately shouted. Wang Duo curled her lips after being yelled at by Hang Zijia. She didn't say anything. Yun Jian sat on the sofa. She narrowed her eyes and did not say anything. Strange, why isn't your aunt back yet? Why don't I call her to hurry her up? Qin Yiru sat beside Yun Jian and said suspiciously. Then, she took out her phone and dialed a number. Since you're sick, why did you go out? Yun Jian cut to the chase. Qin Fangfang was sick. Why did she go shopping with her husband, Sun Baiwen? Shouldn't a sick person stay at home or rest in bed? Hearing Yun Jian's words, Qin Yiru's right eyelid twitched. She quickly called Qin Fangfang's phone. Beep beep beep. Beep beep beep. At this moment, a phone rang in the living room. Qin Yiru turned around in surprise and saw Qin Fangfang's mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang, hurriedly take out Qin Fangfang's phone from her pocket and press the button to hang up. This time, Qin Yiru really felt that something was wrong. She quickly stood up and walked towards Zhu Hengxiang. However, when she was about 3 meters away from Zhu Hengxiang, Qin Yiru stopped and asked Zhu Hengxiang, "Why do you have my sister's phone?" Qin Yiru immediately stood up and Yun Jian walked over. When Zhu Hengxiang heard this, she was so shocked that she almost tripped. In the past, when Zhu Hengxiang appeared in front of Qin Yiru, she looked like a rich old lady. She was so arrogant that her nose almost reached the sky. However, Zhu Hengxiang didn't put on airs when they met today. Didn't she go out with Bai Wen? They'll be back soon. She asked me to leave her phone behind. Zhu Hengxiang's eyes darted around even more. Just as she said this, a disheveled figure rushed out of the spiral staircase. The man's hair was messy, and his long hair swayed in the wind. There were red marks on his hands and feet, indicating that he had been tied by iron chains. As soon as the figure appeared, the surrounding people were a little surprised. Zhu Hengxiang's expression changed greatly. Why did she come out? Wasn't it locked properly? The figure raised his head, revealing a young and well-maintained face. It was Qin Fangfang. Sister. She was spouting nonsense. She's lying to you. In order to prevent me from revealing our family's dirty laundry, they imprisoned me. 2 months ago, I found out that bastard Sun Baiwen had cheated on me. I want to divorce Sun Baiwen. They were afraid that this matter would get out of hand and affect their aristocratic families too much, so they chained me up and didn't let me leave. Save me! Save me! Qin Fangfang was very smart. After being imprisoned by her mother-in-law, she realized that she couldn't escape, so she secretly unlocked the chains without anyone noticing. This time, she heard Qin Yiru's voice, so she rushed out to ask for help. You're lying. How could my Baiwen have cheated on you? You're the one who didn't follow the rules. After being discovered, Zhu Hengxiang still refused to admit it. My daughter! You vicious woman! Vicious woman! Zhang Meihua screamed and rushed towards Zhu Hengxiang. Zhu Hengxiang was at a disadvantage in the argument, but she immediately used the most vicious words to insult Qin Fangfang. She didn't pretend anymore. Bah! She's just a hen that can't lay eggs. So what if my son has a mistress outside? Isn't it because your daughter can't lay eggs? Our Sun family needs someone to inherit the family property. She didn't want Qin Fangfang to spread her family's dirty laundry. That was the reason why she imprisoned Qin Fangfang. Seeing Qin Yiru crying after seeing Qin Fangfang like this, Yun Jian's heart tightened. In the next second, under everyone's eyes, Yun Jian rushed to Zhu Hengxiang, who was tearing Zhang Meihua apart. She grabbed Zhu Hengxiang and slapped her to the ground. Then, she grabbed Zhu Hengxiang's collar and lifted her up. Chapter 1589. The surrounding people were so frightened by the turn of events that they took a few steps back. What was going on? Why was Zhu Hengxiang's daughter-in-law, Qin Fangfang, imprisoned by Zhu Hengxiang? What was going on? The people who came today were all Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends. Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends even brought their own children over. That was why Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and the other children who were about the same age as Yun Jian were here. However, the people present never expected such a scene to happen. Zhu Hengxiang actually imprisoned her daughter-in-law? According to Zhu Hengxiang's daughter-in-law, Qin Fangfang, it was because Zhu Hengxiang's son, Sun Baiwen, had an affair. Qin Fangfang wanted a divorce after finding out. Then, Zhu Hengxiang was afraid that her family's dirty linen would be exposed. After all, a wealthy family like Zhu Hengxiang couldn't tolerate any scandals. Therefore, Zhu Hengxiang imprisoned Qin Fangfang to prevent her from getting a divorce. Zhu Hengxiang's son had an affair, but she didn't agree with Qin Fangfang and her son's divorce. Instead, she said that her son had an affair. She scolded Qin Fangfang as a hen that couldn't lay eggs. She said that the Sun family needed someone to inherit the family property. The surrounding people trembled with fear when they heard that. They were glad that they had nothing to do with the Sun family. However, what surprised the surrounding people was not this, but Yun Jian, who looked so thin and weak, actually walked over and slapped Zhu Hengxiang to the ground. Yun Jian's hacking skills had already stunned Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, Duan Chengxian, and the others. Now, Yun Jian's move made them widen their eyes in shock. Wasn't she a thin and weak little girl? How could she have such great strength? Moreover, she had said to Zhu Xiuxiang, "Old woman, you're dead." Oh my, Xixiang, what the hell is going on? What do you mean your son has an affair? What's going on? Your son usually looks like an honest person. How could he do something like having an affair? A very gossipy old woman walked over from the side. She frowned and asked as she walked over. Qin Fangfang's husband, Sun Baiwen, was an honest person. However, people changed when they had money. Especially since Qin Fangfang had been married to Sun Baiwen for so many years, her stomach had not made any sound. As her mother-in-law, Zhu Hengxiang couldn't wait for Qin Fangfang, a hen that couldn't lay eggs, to get out of her house. However, if news of Sun Baiwen's divorce got out, it would not only be bad, but it would also affect his business. The Sun family was running a car marketing company. At the same time, they were working with others. Reputation was very important to the Sun family. Therefore, even if Qin Fangfang was imprisoned, Zhu Hengxiang would not let her go. However, he did not expect that Qin Fangfang would seize the opportunity to escape from the room after unlocking the chains. I must have been blind to have followed Sun Baiwen. Although your Sun family is rich, at least you won't look down on others. I misjudged you. Sun Baiwen was a bastard. This marriage must be divorced. Qin Fangfang was a very strong woman. She was innocent, bitter, and upset, but she would not show it. Instead, she yelled at Zhu Hengxiang and even slapped her several times in front of Zhu Hengxiang. As Zhu Hengxiang was being suppressed by Yun Jian, she could not move. She could only use vicious words to fight back against Qin Fangfang. For a moment, the emotions at the scene were extremely difficult to control. If you want to divorce, just divorce. Do you think our Sun family is so easy to bully? Since you married into our Sun family, you have to live like an ox or a horse. My son just wants to have an heir. What did he do? You can't have a child, so he found a woman to have a child. Is he wrong? I didn't ask you to give up the position of the main wife. What era is it now? Do you have to be so calculative? So many people want to be the daughter-in-law of our Sun family. You should be content. Zhu Hengxiang's scolding became worse and worse. However, just as the surrounding people were disturbed by the quarrel and did not dare to make a sound for fear of implicating themselves, Yun Jian slapped Zhu Hengxiang to the ground again. She flipped her hand and a butterfly knife appeared in her hand. The knife was thrown to the corner of Zhu Hengxiang's clothes under the horrified eyes of the surrounding people. It directly pierced the corner of Zhu Hengxiang's clothes. However, the knife bounced back to Yun Jian's hand with the help of the ground. Yun Jian held the butterfly knife. Her face was expressionless, but her eyes were cold. She looked at Zhu Hengxiang as if the god of death had arrived. Under everyone's eyes, she said something that made people's hair stand on end. Chapter 1590. Yun Jian had always been protective of her own people. Respecting the old and loving the young didn't exist in her world. She wasn't a good person or a saint. What happened to Zhu Hengxiang and whether Zhu Hengxiang's son, Sun Baiwen, cheated on her had nothing to do with her. In spite of it, Zhu Hengxiang had imprisoned Qin Fangfang. Looking at Qin Fangfang, who was covered in injuries from being chained up, her wrists and ankles marked with red marks of being chained up, Qin Yiru could not utter a word as she clutched her chest in agony. Even if it wasn't for Qin Fangfang, Yun Jian knew that if she didn't do anything, Qin Yiru wouldn't pretend that she didn't see anything. Qin Yiru wouldn't have the upper hand against a shrew like Zhu Hengxiang. Therefore, Yun Jian wouldn't sit by and do nothing. Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, Duan Chengxian, and the people who were watching the show but didn't dare to make a sound were all shocked when they saw Yun Jian carrying a knife. She actually carried a knife with her. Was she ready to fight at any time? And judging from how skilled she was, it was obviously not her first time doing this. Even if something like this happened, it's an adult's matter. Why is a child like her getting involved? And she's even swinging that stupid knife. She thinks she knows how to swing it. She's really good. Wang Duo, who was standing beside Hang Zijia, saw Yun Jian twirling the butterfly knife. She was envious and jealous. If she knew how to swing a knife, she would be the one being watched. It was because of jealousy that Wang Duo said this. Wang Duo didn't get a reply. On the other side, everyone was shocked by Yun Jian taking out the butterfly knife. Zhu Hengxiang was no exception. Zhu Hengxiang was an old woman who was afraid of death. She never thought of dying when she argued with Qin Fangfang. Therefore, when she saw Yun Jian taking out the butterfly knife, poking the corner of her clothes with it, and catching it with the force of throwing it, Zhu Hengxiang was the closest to Yun Jian. Seeing this, her face changed color. You! How dare you! How dare you kill me in front of everyone! Call the police! Call the police for me! Call the police! Call the police to save him! Zhu Hengxiang was lying on her side on the ground. She supported herself with her elbows and watched in horror as Yun Jian called for help from the people around her. Zhu Hengxiang might have forgotten that she had imprisoned Qin Fangfang for 2 months. She had tortured Qin Fangfang until she was neither a human nor a ghost. What Zhu Hengxiang had done was illegal. No one dared to move. You're the one I'm going to kill. Zhu Hengxiang, I, Qin Fangfang, have been married to your family for so many years. I have been with Sun Baiwen since he was not as rich as he is now. But what about you? How dare you treat me like this? I, Qin Fangfang, cannot accept it. She wanted a divorce. But you imprisoned me. You want to call the police. We don't need you to call the police. I'll call the police. I want to sue you for imprisoning me. Qin Fong Fong gritted her teeth and forced herself not to cry. She wanted to use the most rational and legal means to protect herself. But before that, she wanted to take revenge for the humiliation she had suffered at Zhu Hengxiang's hands. Qin Fong Fong walked over and raised her hand. Just as she was about to slap Zhu Hengxiang's face, a furious voice came from the main entrance. Qin Fong Fong. How dare you? How dare you hit my mother? It was Sun Baiwen, Qin Fong Fong's seemingly honest husband. After Sun Baiwen shouted, he pulled a young woman in his hand and walked towards Qin Fong Fong from the main entrance while shouting. This young woman was Sun Baiwen's cheating partner. She was commonly known as the mistress. At this moment, the rather good-looking mistress, who was wearing fashionable clothes, looked up and glanced at Qin Fong Fong smugly. She looked as if she was provoking Qin Fong Fong. Needless to say, Sun Baiwen's cheating was a foregone conclusion. And the most important thing was that he dared to bring his mistress home directly. Qin Fong Fong was furious. Fortunately, Qin Yiru hugged her and comforted her, so she did not do anything rash. At this moment, Zhu Hengxiang suddenly got up from the ground. She stood up and immediately tried to push Qin Fong Fong and Qin Yiru down. At the same time she shouted, "Ah! Go to hell! Go to hell! B*TCH! How dare you hit me just now?" Everyone was shocked. Just when everyone thought that Qin Fong Fong and Qin Yiru would be pushed to the ground by Zhu Hengxiang, who suddenly got up, a figure flashed by. Before Zhu Hengxiang could stand up, she was sent flying 5 meters away by Yun Jian's kick. She was paralyzed on the ground, unable to get up for the time being. Zhu Hengxiang was in pain. Before anyone could react, Yun Jian had already grabbed the butterfly knife and walked towards Zhu Hengxiang. Chapter 1591. Qin Yiru was comforting Zhu Hengxiang when she got up from the floor and extended her aged hands in an attempt to push Qin Yiru and Qin Fong Fong down. Yun Jian was enraged. No one was allowed to lay a hand on Qin Yiru. No exceptions. You! How dare you lay a hand on my mom? Sun Baiwen obviously remembered Yun Jian, so he only roared at Yun Jian, not daring to do anything to Yun Jian. Back in Longmen City, Sun Baiwen was terrified when he found out that Yun Jian was the director of New Cruise. Yun Jian was Qin Fong Fong's niece and the director of New Cruise. Sun Baiwen was slightly afraid when he first cheated. Qin Fong Fong's relatives could not threaten him at all. The only one who could was New Cruise's director, Yun Jian. Later, the mistress named Song Ling seduced him. Sun Baiwen was a normal man and it had been so many years, but Qin Fong Fong's stomach did not make any noise at all. Sun Baiwen wanted to be a father too, so he went with the flow and hooked up with a mistress named Song Ling. Everything was so natural. In the end, Sun Baiwen even dared to enter and exit in front of Qin Fong Fong with his mistress. Song Ling Sun Baiwen used to be a man who valued relationships, but everything changed when he became rich. It was his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, who wanted to push Qin Fong Fong and Qin Yiru to the floor, but Yun Jian retaliated. Sun Baiwen did not even care about Qin Fong Fong as he roared at Yun Jian. Qin Fong Fong was heartbroken. She stood where she was with her head hung low. If it were not for Qin Yiru supporting her, she could not even stand properly. What could be more pathetic than the person who had been sleeping beside her for so many years standing in front of her with his mistress and yelling at her? The atmosphere at the scene was extremely gloomy. In the distance, Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and the others didn't know whether to leave or stay. From the looks of it, they stood there awkwardly. Many of Zhu Hengxiang's relatives were still standing around. Seeing the scandal of Zhu Hengxiang's family, they didn't know whether to leave or stay. It was extremely awkward. Baiwen, don't be angry. Let's call the police. Let the police arrest them. The mistress, Song Ling, was holding on to Sun Baiwen's arm. Her round breasts were almost touching the inside of Sun Baiwen's arm. She had the nerve to speak to Sun Baiwen. Yes. Call the police. Call the police. Sun Baiwen said as he took out his mobile phone from his pocket and was about to make a call. Yun Jian strode towards Zhu Hengxiang. She walked up to Zhu Hengxiang and grabbed her collar. She lifted the half-conscious Zhu Hengxiang up and patted her face with the butterfly knife. Go ahead and call the police. I believe that my knife can stab into her head before you make the call. Yun Jian lazily swung the butterfly knife in her hand. The knife swayed and almost brushed past Zhu Hengxiang's head. Sun Baiwen was so frightened that he quickly put down his phone. In comparison, his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, was still very important to him. Murder is illegal. You're so young and yet you're learning to threaten people. Don't you think it's shameful? Wang Duo, who was standing in the distance, saw Yun Jian's insolence again and again. She couldn't help but stand up and say something that she thought was fair. At this point, Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and the others who were about the same age as Yun Jian. Sun Baiwen was certain that Yun Jian wouldn't dare to make a move. Just as everyone thought so, Yun Jian raised the butterfly knife and stabbed it into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh in front of everyone. Ah! Zhu Hengxiang, who was in a semi-conscious state, screamed out in pain and fainted. She actually dared to make a move. That could kill someone. Chapter 1592. Everyone was shocked by Yun Jian's actions. They all thought that Yun Jian did not have the courage to hurt Zhu Hengxiang. She did not even have the courage to hurt Zhu Hengxiang even a little bit. After all, murder was illegal. Although Yun Jian did not kill Zhu Hengxiang, she did hurt her. If there were no acquaintances in the police station, Yun Jian would not be in jail at her age, but she would not be in a good state either. You actually dared to hurt my mom. Ah! I'm going to kill you. After Sun Baiwen reacted, he wanted to rush towards Yun Jian. However, the mistress, Song Ling, grabbed his hand and did not let Sun Baiwen rush over. To be honest, if Sun Baiwen was determined, the mistress, Song Ling, would not be able to stop Sun Baiwen from rushing over. However, Sun Baiwen was afraid of Yun Jian from the bottom of his heart. That was why he was held back by Song Ling. Yun Jian saw Sun Baiwen's cowardice. She only smiled coldly. The knife stabbed into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh. It was enough to make Zhu Hengxiang suffer, but she would not die immediately. Yun Jian controlled her strength and position very well. The knife would not touch Zhu Hengxiang's main artery, so she would not die. Even if she was sent to the hospital 3 hours later, as long as the knife was not pulled out, she would not die. However, Zhu Hengxiang would also suffer a lot of pain. If the knife stabbed into Zhu Hengxiang's thigh, even if Zhu Hengxiang did not die, she would be in extreme pain. Don't blame Yun Jian for being cruel. Qin Fangfang had been imprisoned in the room by Zhu Hengxiang for the past 2 months. She had suffered a lot. Compared to the first time she saw Qin Fangfang, Yun Jian could clearly feel that Qin Fangfang had lost at least 10 kilograms. She was all skin and bones. Yun Jian's move scared Qin Fangfang, Qin Yiru, and Zhang Meihua. She actually dared to do it. Compared to Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, and the others, Wang Duo was so scared that her face was pale. She's not an ordinary person. Hang Ziliang narrowed his eyes and stared at Yun Jian. Just as Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and Duan Chengxian were so scared that their faces turned white, he softly spat out these words. Just now, when Yun Jian demonstrated her hacking skills in front of them, Hang Ziliang felt that Yun Jian was not an ordinary person. This feeling was very strong. Although Wang Duo was scared of Yun Jian's ruthless look just now, she was still not convinced, especially when Yun Jian had been eye-catching. Therefore, Wang Duo curled her lips and complained in a low voice. She doesn't have 3 legs, how is she not an ordinary person? Inside an Hun organization. The Hun organization was huge. If they were to walk, it would take more than a day and a night to reach the end of an Hun organization from one side to the other. Even by car, it would take a few hours. At this moment, in one of an Hun organization's villas, Si Luo was sitting on the spot, bored. She was holding a bouquet of fresh flowers that she had just picked from outside and gently inserted them into the vase. Ever since Xueqi brought her here, she had been watched by the female housekeeper at the door to prevent her from escaping. Seeing that the housekeeper had gone to the toilet, Si Luo's eyes flickered. She stood up immediately and dashed out. She wanted to leave this place. She did not want to stay with him. However, just as Si Luo rushed out of the door, she crashed into a sturdy chest. Si Luo's heart clenched. She looked up in fear and saw Xueqing's dark face. Without a word, Xueqing grabbed her wrist and dragged Si Luo into the house. Let me go, I want to stay with Sister Qing Yu and the rest. Si Luo was thrown onto the bed by Xueqing. She looked at him fearfully, still refusing to let him go. She still could not understand why he would not let her go. She slept on the same bed with him every day. Would she get pregnant? Chapter 1593. Xueqi cupped Si Luo's mouth, which was still rambling on. He panted heavily as he kissed Si Luo's lips. The kiss sent Si Luo into a frenzy again. Her lips were bitten by Xueqi and she could not break free. Her hands pounded on Xueqing's chest but to no avail. Just as Si Luo was panicking and was about to break free from Xueqing's embrace, Xueqing suddenly let go of her lips and whispered gently into her ear, "I'm sorry. I like you, so don't leave me." As he spoke, he naturally reached out and grabbed her small hand that was pounding his chest. It was Xueqing's first time saying something like that to her, so Si Luo was completely stunned. It was not that Si Luo did not have feelings for Xueqing, but she did not know if what she felt for him was love. "So don't think about leaving me, Xueqing stared into her eyes and said solemnly. Si Luo was surprised, but for some reason, she felt a warmth in her heart. For some reason, Si Luo looked at Xueqing's perfect face, which only had a deep scar on his neck. She nodded subconsciously. Country Z, Pudong City, Gone Province, Sun Baiwen's house. The atmosphere was still crumbling. Sun Baiwen was pale. Being pulled by Song Ling, he dared not go to Yunjian himself, so he could only watch as his mother, Zhu Hengxiang, fainted with blood on her thigh. "Xiao Jian, don't kill her." Qin Yiru was afraid that Yunjian would really kill Zhu Hengxiang. She was not afraid that Zhu Hengxiang would die but that Yunjian would ruin her life because of Zhu Hengxiang. After all, this was a society ruled by law. Yunjian had wanted to scare Sun Baiwen, but seeing that Qin Yiru was afraid that something would happen to her, Yunjian spoke frankly. "She won't die." Zhu Hengxiang's injuries looked serious and she had fainted, but for some reason, Qin Yiru was not worried anymore after hearing what her daughter Yunjian said. "Won't die? She's so hurt. Do you think you're an executioner in the underworld? That's a human life we're talking about." Wang Duo couldn't help but speak up again. Her tone was as if she was very kind and Yunjian was a big bad person who was beyond redemption. At this moment, Yunjian's phone rang. Yunjian ignored Wang Duo's righteous clamor and picked up the phone. The people around couldn't hear what the person on the other end of the phone said, but Yunjian lowered her eyes and said to the person on the other end of the phone, "Come in." "Come in?" What did he come in for? The surrounding people were very puzzled. "Yunjian, do you think this is fun? Aren't you going to call the ambulance? Do you have to be so vicious? You can't be so vicious." Wang Duo couldn't help but ask after hearing Yunjian's words. However, before Wang Duo could finish speaking, a delicate and pretty figure walked in through the door. Seeing this, the surrounding crowd was drawn over. It was Qing Yu. "Who's this?" The people around them frowned as they watched Qing Yu walk in. "What are you trying to do?" Wang Duo rolled her eyes. Qing Yu went straight to Yunjian and told Yunjian in front of the crowd, "Sister Jian, the blood babies have moved." "Sister Jian, the blood dolls are on the move. Master told me that they might have found you and might attack you any time soon. That was why she had rushed here from Longmen City." Qing Yu enunciated each word to Yunjian with a grim expression. "Blood babies? What blood babies? Were they having a house party? They're attacking her? Does she think she's some boss of Long Shao or some underground organization?" Wang Duo could not help guffawing when she heard what Qing Yu said to Yunjian. Before Wang Duo could finish, Hang Ziliang's expression changed. He looked at Yunjian and Qing Yu in front of everyone and asked, "Are you talking about the blood babies? Is the blood doll you're talking about the underground assassin organization that rose to power recently in Southeast Asia and swallowed all the organizations in Southeast Asia as fast as possible?" Chapter 1594. Hang Ziliang was a hacker. Even if he did not usually hear about the rise of a major assassin organization like Blood Doll, he could search for it on his computer. At Hang Ziliang's age, coupled with his current hacking skills, he could already be considered a talented person. Some organizations even went to invite Hang Ziliang to join their organizations after hearing about his deeds, but were all rejected by Hang Ziliang. There was no shortage of hackers who came into contact with computers. Naturally, Hang Ziliang, who had access to computers, could find out about the rising blood doll from various channels and how it had swept through all the girl organizations in Southeast Asia in the shortest time possible. Now that the triad was abuzz, Blood Doll's ability and influence had spread throughout Southeast Asia, becoming an assassin organization that was second only to an Hun group and Kosha mercenaries. Therefore, when he heard what Qing Yu said to Yun Jian, Hang Ziliang was dumbfounded. When he recovered, he was deeply terrified. Qing Yu tilted her head, her long black hair flowing in the wind. She turned around when Hang Ziliang told her about the blood baby. Her long hair flowed in the wind as her deep black eyes stared at Hang Ziliang sharply. You! Hang Ziliang stuttered under Qing Yu's stare. He gulped and did not say anything else. Sister Jian, do you need me to end him? Qing Yu stood beside Yun Jian with a dark expression. Her usual playfulness and exuberance were gone, replaced by indifference. Did it not mean that she was going to kill him? Hearing Qing Yu's words, the people around them subconsciously took a few steps back. The girl who was called in by Yun Jian had a piercing gaze. It was not as intimidating as Yun Jian's, but when Qing Yu came, everyone felt like Yun Jian was the boss of some organization. Moreover, the girl who just came in just now had called Yun Jian Sister Jian. Why did Yun Jian look so much like a mafia boss? Are you guys going to kill him in public? This is a lawful society. Wang Duo was shocked when she saw Qing Yu looking over, even though it was not directed at her. Bai Wen. Hurry up and chase these lunatics away. Isn't this your home? What nonsense are they spouting? The mistress, Song Ling, felt chills running down her spine when she heard Yun Jian and Qing Yu's words and actions. She then rubbed her quivering chest against Sun Baiwen's arm in an even more exaggerated manner. Qin Fangfang was helped upstairs by Qin Yiru and Zhang Meihua before Qing Yu entered. This matter was naturally not over, but according to Qin Fangfang's current state, if she were to face Sun Baiwen and the mistress, Song Ling, walking confidently in front of her, her state would definitely collapse. Therefore, Qin Yiru and Zhang Meihua helped Qin Fangfang upstairs. Qin Yiru and the other two did not see what happened just now. Don't try to scare us with your professional words. Qin Fangfang may be your aunt, but this is our family's business. What assassin organization? Nonsense. Even if you use such professional words to scare me, this still happened. I won't agree to divorce Qin Fangfang, Sun Baiwen told Yun Jian solemnly. He hugged the mistress in his arms but pretended to be manly. However, before he could finish, another silhouette dashed in through the door. It was Gu Nianji who came in light. Gu Nianji was dressed in a black casual outfit. She held a pistol in her hand as she dashed in and spoke to Qing Yu and Yun Jian with a frown. Blood Doll's people are here. They're right outside. As she spoke, Gu Nianji tossed the pistol in her hand to Yun Jian. Gu Nianji had completely surrendered to Yun Jian now. The crowd could only watch as Yun Jian caught the pistol that might or might not be a real one nimbly and caught the bullet that Gu Nianji tossed over. She loaded the gun and loaded it. Gu Nianji did not even need to lower her head to complete the series of actions. Chapter 1595. Yun Jian's cold-back view, paired with her high ponytail, looked slender from the back despite her short-sleeved shirt and shorts. Her figure was just right, and she was full of energy like a grim reaper who was ready to kill at any moment. The people standing behind Yun Jian were stunned for a moment. Did they just see the grim reaper from hell? Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, Hang Ziliang, and Duan Chengxian could not help gulping. Many of the people around them were Zhu Hengxiang's relatives, but no one cared about Zhu Hengxiang, who was lying unconscious on the ground and had just been stabbed in the thigh by Yun Jian. Everyone present was shocked by Yun Jian's attack. Especially Sun Baiwen and Song Ling. Sun Baiwen even said that Yun Jian had purposely called Qing Yu over to say what she said in front of everyone. He even described what Qing Yu said to Yun Jian about the blood baby as a pretentious professional. When they saw Gu Nianji, who rushed into the house, everyone was shocked, including Sun Baiwen. Especially when they saw the shiny black pistol in Gu Nianji's hand, everyone's hearts clenched tightly. However, the first thought that came to their minds was that the gun must be a fake. However, they watched as Yun Jian took the pistol, took the bullets Gu Nianji tossed over, loaded it, and loaded the gun. They were completely dumbfounded. Was this a real gun? Yun Jian was already walking out of the door. Qing Yu and Gu Nianji followed closely behind Yun Jian. They're serious. Hang Ziliang frowned and grabbed a handful of his hair as he followed. Although Sun Baiwen and Song Ling were scared, Their curiosity drove them to follow. Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and the adults present followed them curiously. So what if the gun in Yun Jian's hand looked like the real thing? Technology was so advanced now that it was not difficult for a fake gun to look like the real thing. Everyone followed Yun Jian's footsteps, wanting to see what tricks Yun Jian was up to. They wanted to see what Yun Jian was up to. Did she really think that she was some big shot on the international stage who was being hunted down by an assassin organization? Now, she wanted to play the role of a hero and Superman to save the world? Hee, how could such a thing happen to ordinary people like them? Therefore, it could be said that the people present did not believe the conversation between Yun Jian, Qing Yu, and Gu Nianji. When she ran out, Wang Duo followed Yun Jian's footsteps and said to the people standing around her, "Tiske, what is that? Does Yun Jian really think that she is the savior of the world? How can that assassin organization deal with someone like her who has no status at all? Do they have nothing better to do?" To Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, and the others, the term assassin organization was a group that they would never come into contact with in their lives. Therefore, when he saw Yun Jian running out and saying that the assassin organization called Blood Doll had appeared, he was shocked. Whether it was Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, Sun Baiwen, or the mistress, Song Ling, they all came out with the mentality that they wanted to see what Yun Jian was up to. However, when Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others stepped out of the villa, they heard a series of bang 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 sniper rifle shots. A real gun? A real gun. Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others retreated in fear, but at the same time, they saw a sniper rifle coming from nowhere and shooting at Yun Jian, who was running in that direction. However, what happened next shocked Wang Duo, Sun Baiwen, and the others even more. They saw Yun Jian dive to the ground when the sniper rifle shot at her, dodging the bullets skillfully. That silhouette was as agile as the king of the jungle. That was a real sniper rifle. A real bullet. She actually dodged the sniper rifle's shots. That's scientifically impossible. Hang Ziliang was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Chapter 1596. The people around them included Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, the hacker expert Hang Ziliang, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and Zhu Hengxiang's relatives and friends. Their eyes were fixed on the scene in front of them. They were so shocked and terrified that they could not be described with words. Everyone present, whether it was Sun Baiwen, Hang Ziliang, or the others, were all ordinary people. Country Z did not allow guns and ammunition. Therefore, in a peaceful and stable place like Country Z, it was the most suitable place for ordinary people to live and reproduce. Because in Country Z, there was no need to be afraid of people shooting people on the streets. Of course, unless the smugglers had passed through the heavy security checks and brought the firearms into Country Z. However, Country Z's jurisdiction was very strict. Such a situation rarely happened. This also showed that Sun Baiwen and his group were indeed ignorant. They could not even imagine the scene in front of them. This was a very normal thing. As for Sun Baiwen and his group, as a teenager, they should study hard, listen to their parents, and be good children. Those who were disobedient were the more troublesome children in the eyes of others. They would hang out with some shady people in society all day long and enjoy that kind of life. But Yun Jian? She didn't fit into either category. What she did was beyond the acceptable range of everyone present. She actually held a handgun and rushed over to avoid the sniper rifle's surprise attack. Everyone's first thought was that she had provoked someone. How could she have such shocking skills? Look over there. Those are cards written in blood. It's really Blood Doll. I heard that Blood Doll's people would scatter a large number of cards written in blood before they appear. That's the symbol of Blood Doll. Hang Ziliang's hand trembled slightly as he pointed at the cards that floated over from nowhere in the distance and said to everyone in panic, It's really the assassin organization called Blood Doll. Then what should we do? Are we going to die here? Wang Duo was already frightened by the sniper rifle's bullets that were fired at Yun Jian. She had a bitter and pale face as she said these words in an extremely cold voice. As soon as she said this, Wang Duo's face turned ferocious. She gritted her teeth and said, "It's all Yun Jian's fault. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't be in such danger." Just as she finished her sentence, everyone saw Yun Jian evade the first wave of sniper fire. While the sniper was still reloading, She spoke to Qing Yu and Gu Nianji, who were following closely behind her. 9 o'clock on the left, 34 meters away, 9 floors in the air, 2 snipers. 2 o'clock on the right, 45 meters away, 12 floors in the air, 3 snipers. As for the remaining 5 snipers at 12 o'clock, leave them to me. When Yun Jian was dodging the bullets of the 10 snipers, he had already calculated the hiding position, distance, floor, and position of the 10 snipers. She stood where she was, alert of her surroundings, but spoke to Qing Yu and Gu Nianji in her calmest tone. Got it. Got it. Qing Yu and Gu Nianji obeyed. They put away their pistols swiftly and put them back into their pockets without looking before running to the left and right respectively. Sun Baiwen and the rest who were standing where they were could even see Qing Yu and Gu Nianji taking out knives from their pockets and holding them in their palms as they ran. In addition to their balanced speed, they looked just like the assassins in the movies. However, this was not what shocked the crowd the most. She can calculate each sniper's hiding position, distance, floor, and specific position while evading the sniper's bullets. Hang Ziliang exclaimed in horror as he stared in that direction. Hearing what Hang Ziliang said, Sun Baiwen, Song Ling, Hang Zijia, Wang Duo, and everyone else looked at Yun Jian in shock. Was she still human? Chapter 1597. Not to mention Yun Jian, who was able to calculate the hiding spot of each sniper while dodging the bullets. Anyone present, even if they were to stand in place and look at a point in the distance, they would be able to accurately report how far away that point was from them. This was something that depended on luck and guessing. Not to mention Yun Jian, who was able to easily see the precise distance between the 3 sniper spots in different directions while dodging the bullets of the sniper. Yun Jian reported an accurate number. Just from that move, Yun Jian's ability had already made everyone present unable to use the word shocked to describe it. She's lying, right? What she said just now. Is it true? What she said just now was the hiding spot of the snipers. Wang Duo could no longer use the word shocked to describe her current feelings. Who was Yun Jian? How could she have such terrifying skills, observation, and spatial abilities? Too amazing. She's simply my idol. Hang Ziliang complained loudly. He thought that he was only respected by SS in the hacker world, but Hang Ziliang never thought that he would meet a talent like Yun Jian. He originally thought that Yun Jian's hacking skills were already the limit, but what Hang Ziliang never thought was that Yun Jian could actually dodge the sniper's bullets. More importantly, her ability to see through things was astonishing. Compared to Hang Ziliang, Wang Duo and the group of young people, Yun Jian's ability in the eyes of adults like Sun Baiwen was simply like watching a science fiction movie. Especially the mistress Song Ling, the more powerful Yun Jian was, the more scared she was. Because Yun Jian was Qin Fangfang's niece. Look, what is she doing? Just as everyone present was stunned, they saw that Yun Jian had already quickly played with the pistol and walked towards the best sniper spot. Until Yun Jian was completely exposed to the sniper's best shooting range. What is she doing? If the sniper wants to snipe her, he has to consider the direction of the wind, the speed of the wind, the distance, and other areas. If she walks over there, she will directly expose herself to the sniper's range. Hang Ziliang was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat for Yun Jian. Among those present, other than Hang Ziliang, be it Sun Baiwen, Wang Duo, Hang Zijia, or Duan Chengxian, none of them understood what Yun Jian was doing or what she was trying to do. Hang Ziliang was the only one who knew a little about what Yun Jian had done. Therefore, after hearing Hang Ziliang's explanation, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Everyone thought that Yun Jian was crazy. Was there something wrong with her brain? He actually exposed himself to the sniper's sniper range. Was she courting death? However, they saw Yun Jian's cold smile. She held the black pistol in her hand, but she didn't take out her usual butterfly knife. Instead, she held the pistol in her hand very agilely and walked towards the sniper's sniper range. The butterfly knife was indeed the weapon she was best at. However, today, at this moment, she wanted to tell the group of assassins from Blood Doll one thing. She was good at butterfly knives. She could use them flexibly and freely. As for the pistol, she was still good at it. I know, she must be trying to kill the sniper. Oh my god. She is standing on flat ground and killing the sniper. The longest range of a pistol is 50 meters. standing on flat ground and using a pistol to kill the sniper, and protecting oneself from being killed by the sniper. This is something unheard of in the entire world. Could it be that she really wants to? Hang Zilong was panicking, so he shouted those words out in fear. Everyone's hearts tightened when they heard Hang Zilong's words. When everyone reacted and looked over there, they saw that Yun Jian had already moved. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.